Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Strat Fan Forum Football Podcast. Joining me, as always, is Tom Cook, and we're here to talk about the summer sprint. Say hello, Tom.
Hey, everybody, this is Tom. Welcome to our beloved Strat Fan Forum Football Podcast, which is actually a YouTube video and not a podcast, but we wanted to be a podcast in the beginning. But it turned out it was easier for us to do like webcams and talking than the podcast, and we were both too lazy to investigate further. So you're getting videos of Dennis and me instead of just our voices. So hide the women and children. But
it's not laziness. It's just we don't have time for the production values that would be necessary to create a true podcast and load it on iTunes and all that stuff. This is perfect. We get in there. We can spend the maximum amount of time talking Strat and having fun. So there you go.
Yeah, well, Dennis might say it's with not having the time. I will fess up and say my part is laziness. But we're here today to discuss the 1983 NFL Summer Sprint, which is Battle Royale's summer season this year. Play a whole bunch of games in a short period of time. We've got a
my sound effects are going crazy.
NFL each.
No.
What's wrong with your sound effects? Anyway.
No, the computer was like glitching a little bit there. We got the boys playing.
My sound effects are working, but basically, you draft one unit with each pick. Like you can draft an offensive line or a defensive line, and we use the old double counting for the defensive card, so you can get an average or a good or an excellent, and we do have at least one excellent unit, I think, this year. And we're about a week behind because Dennis and I both were away simultaneously, oddly enough, and there actually been a couple of games played. I didn't pay too much attention to the results, except for mine because I lost in a really good game with Dale. But we're going to get underway. We're going to start with the draft review. What we like to do is look at the draft round by round and pick out some picks we really liked and some picks we didn't like. And we don't mean any disrespect to anybody, but we like to do kind of an open, honest sports talk type of show. And, guys seem to enjoy it, even if they don't always agree. And, hey, they can always prove us wrong on the gridiron. Or they can complain about bad luck. But that doesn't happen in the summer sprint. This is a manly league. So, anyway, round one. We had the how's my screen sharing coming in? Good, right? Yeah, okay.
Great.
Yellow background, by the way, a tremendous improvement from the green for this type of thing. That's for sure. So,
well, thank you for the suggestions.
You're welcome.
I am always open to good suggestions. I will ignore mediocre to bad suggestions. The good ones I'll listen to.
Good move. What is dead may never die. But that's right. So going through the first round real quick, you had Dan Fouts. Well, I say Dan Fouts, it's the San Diego quarterback, but that's who you're getting. Dan Fouts went first, Steve Barkowski second, the San Fran secondary third, Kurt Warner / Seattle halfback group fourth, Raiders secondary fifth. Paul took the Rams tight end fullback group, which gave you Eric Dickerson. David took Joe Montana. I took the Tampa Bay defensive line, 3-4 defensive line. It was 4-6-6. Lawrence took the Atlanta fullback tight end group, which gives you William Andrews and Gerald Riggs. Butch took the Dallas defensive line, a 4-3 line. Joe took Walter Payton with the Chicago halfback group. Tony took Miami's DL, another 3-4 that goes 6-6-4. Dennis took Joe Theismann with the Washington quarterback group. Jason took the Dallas quarterback group with Dan Johnson, back complete with LT and Harry Carson. So let's start with the good. What were the picks that you felt really good coming in? Was there anything you felt going along just in terms of the general draft that was a philosophy that you had or that you thought guys might have or where you thought guys should focus based upon the talent available in this draft?
Well, I thought if you were in the middle of the first round and you were able to get one of those groups with 22 points in the secondary to give you a shot at excellent defense, that was a good way to go. I would have, if I would have been like where Jim was probably the last spot where you can have a chance at it. And he actually did wind up getting an excellent pass defense. So I like that pick. I like being able to get it's ridiculous. Strat needs to put in some more tiers or tone it down, but that excellent pass card is really difficult to move the ball against, and it's a turnover machine. So if you can get that in a league like this, you're in good shape.
Well, you got to realize now Strat creates those cards, but Strat did not create this system of developing points to say which group everyone should get. That is created by the fan base, or the one we use is pretty much the one in Autumn Wind. So Strat doesn't have a scale that they recommend or anything.
Right.
So that's if you think it's getting too easy to get that excellent, you can outlaw them.
I don't think
something like that.
Yeah, I don't think it's too easy. I think it's fine being able to get it because it's typically one, maybe two will get that excellent pass card or excellent run defense. It's not like it's really easy to get. I just think the excellent should be a little bit less dominating.
Okay, the excellent. Okay.
Maybe that card that's called the excellent card should be called like the super excellent, and we can add a tier in between, or just leave it called excellent and add a tier in between called good to excellent, and then we can arbitrarily switch around the numbers needed to get there.
Sure. Now I can tell you that, as everyone knows, as you may have heard, I don't know if you heard this anywhere, but I actually do use some spreadsheets. But about a year and a half ago, I started dabbling with spreadsheets and Strat football, trying to figure out some of the math to improve my coaching. It's not perfect. They're not where I want them to be. They're not world beaters. They don't make me take a 2-win team and win the Super Bowl, but they help a little bit. And I've been using Battle Royales leagues as sort of my test lab because you get a different, because you get an entire team from scratch, and you can, all the teams are pretty good. So it's different than trying it in a continuous league where, 6 teams have no chance at winning anything. And you're trying to build a team just based upon those cards. So I think it's a good kind of test lab. So this year I tried to come up with a yards per game value for every single unit, and rank them that way and see what was more important. I didn't get to finish that work until we were already through about round 2. So I didn't get to have an influence on all my picks. But what I found, based upon just the math there, and not upon like the in-game strategy of trying to get a guy make run calls and stuff like that, but what I found was that actually getting a good pass, most effective thing you could do yards-wise in this draft. So getting an excellent one, which I didn't even evaluate, has to be much better. The difference between having a good pass defense and an average pass defense and the cards of this year was more substantial than almost any other difference that I found in my spreadsheets. So if you got excellent, that was even better. Now, because you got to realize, not only are you getting that good or excellent pass defense, you've gotten it by having 5s and 6s at these Defender X spots. So you've got the better card, and now all the Defender X readings are incomplete or most of the time incomplete. So that makes some sense with the old double counting. So anyway, so by that standard, Mike and Jim did well to take those 2 defenses. And now Jim got the Raiders at number 5. So you said middle of the first round, but really these were looking more like top of the first round type of picks. So that was interesting. I thought the Chicago halfbacks getting number 11 was pretty nice. So that was a little late considering everything you get from Walter Payton. He's got a real good rushing card. Pass blocker, field in the set, and there's a ton of Astros pass rushers in this set. He's got a great receiving card. He can catch all 3. He's got a ton of carries. There were some better rushing cards in a per carry attempt. And Kurt Warner was clearly the best halfback there. Kurt Warner went 4th. But Payton's just a real solid build your team around a guy pick there at number 11. Now, what did you think about the defensive lines going 8, 10, and 12? And Tampa Bay, Dallas, Miami. Did you like those picks? Did you feel like maybe those picks were a little too high for a defensive line. Did you not like Dallas that much because they're a 4-3? What do you think of those 3 picks?
Well, pull up your rankings of the defensive lines. I thought, it's never a bad pick if you can get value. If you can get a unit that's much better than one of the units that's left over. So you have San Fran. Oh, I'm sorry. That was a linebacker unit. You have Tampa Bay, Miami as the only 2.
Well, I divided the 3-4s and the 4-3s.
Right. So I'm saying those are the only 2 3-4s that give you 16 points. And
Yeah.
Dallas was the only 4-3 that gave you 21 points. So based on those factors, I don't think that those are bad picks at all. They're going to be better than any other defensive line you can get in subsequent rounds. Now, you had done some calculations figuring out, like here, we're looking at it here, where there was only a certain amount of, there was no way to get an excellent run defense. And there was only a certain amount of combos you could use when running a 3-4 to get a good run defense. And you had to get either Tampa Bay, Miami, or the Raiders. Is that right?
Well, with Tampa Bay and Miami, you're going to get a good run defense with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, with up to 12 3-4 defenses in a 15-team league. So if you took Tampa Bay or Miami, the odds are very good that you were going to get a good run defense. Now, if you took the Raiders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they were 7 linebacker groups that you could pair them with, okay? And then after that, unless you had the Giants linebacking group, you were not going to get a 3-4 run group.
Right.
Also Tampa Bay and Miami both have some pretty good pass rush. Now on the Dallas side, now this again, I had overlooked the rule where basically your defense is based upon the best run defenders, not the guys who will see the field most often. So like a team like Detroit, I screwed up their thing there, but I'm learning as I go, and next time I'll do it better. But like with Dallas, I mean, look at this. At Dallas 21, you want to get to 27? I mean, pretty much everything, through Houston is giving you at least a good run defense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13. Yeah, if you took Dallas, you were guaranteed a good run defense just by taking Dallas. You could take your linebacker group, whatever you wanted.
Right.
And there was some other groups like Chicago or Washington or the Jets were a team where I messed up with the point and Detroit messed up with the point. You had a few options there, the top 5 or so linebacking crews that could get you to a good. So the limited number of units that could create a good based upon that pick would make a pick better or worse. I think a lot of us think the 3-4 is a lot better. I know I do. So Tampa Bay, Miami, helps you get that. Now,
my favorite pick of the first round was not those D lines. I think they're worthy, but Sean getting the New York Giants linebackers with the last pick in the round was amazing. If I would do this draft over again, that should have been my pick at 13 or at 14.
13 for you. Yep.
Yeah, I should have taken the New York Giants linebackers. I got fixated on quarterback, hoping I could get Theismann, or hoping I could get that group. And when they were still available, I didn't look at what else was available.
Well, based upon my math, which I didn't finish until like the end of the second round, I probably would have taken the Giants linebacking crew a lot higher as well, maybe higher than 10. I like the tackle that rush, but if you took the Giants, as a 3-4, you could take the Giants as a 4-3. It's always interesting to me when you take some of those groups, some of those 3-4s, and make them a 4-3. The Giants as a 4-3 would play as a 5-6-6. Okay, and then if you paired them with Dallas, Chicago, Washington, and I made errors here, but other guys saw it, the Jets and Detroit, you would be good against the run. While having great linebackers and usually good pass rush on most of these 4-3 lines in this set. And then also in the secondary, if you took the Giants give you a great chance to get good against both the pass and the run. You know what I'm saying? You would have had to make sure you got a decent secondary. So if you took the Giants in the first round and then took like a decent secondary in the second round, you'd almost be guaranteed to be good and good. And it was hard to get to good and good, I think, for a lot of guys, unless you went defense heavy. Now, you got there because you did the smart thing with that Detroit run defense, and realize that that gives you the extra point. And whoever took the Jets run defense, I say run defense, I mean defensive line, that was Jim, also realized that would give them the extra point. But you've only got, let's see, you got 1, 2. You only have 5 teams in the league out of 15 that are good, that are good against the run and good against the pass. And of course, they've got better the average than the good. It's a big deal with both with the turnovers and against the running game to get those good ratings. I was like, you really want to have at least one good rating. I kind of feel that way with these cards. Now, you just won the Super Bowl in 2013 over Rick. Were you good on one of the ratings, or were you average and average on that team?
I was good.
You were good on the 20.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was good. I was average good. Average run, good pass. And Rick was the opposite. Good run, average pass.
Yeah, I almost feel like you want to be good on at least one. Because the averages, I feel like they can really be kind of abused a little bit at times. I mean, we're all good coaches. Anyone's going to play good defense at times, but those averages, and they've usually got 4s and 4s running around. That feels like you really kind of up against it when you're coaching with average. Both of them. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, I've won before with average in like 24 team leagues. It's much tougher in this type of format. It can be done. I have to look back. You need to have a real powerhouse offense, but you're up against it. Like you said, you're up against it when you have average.
Yeah, and I agree that I agree it can happen, and guys are good coaches, and it's not the end of the world. It's not like going to win, then you've got to pour, which is really, really tough and brutal, But yeah, but I'm talking about in this format, not in any other league or format. Obviously, 2014 league is a different situation, but we'll see what happens because a lot of guys who have average. 10 teams have average. Some of them are definitely going to make the playoffs. Some guys are good coaches, so we'll see what happens. Now, the pick I really didn't like in the first round was Jason's pick of the Dallas quarterbacks with Danny White, because I didn't even have Danny White really as all that desirable, but I believe Jason did not have either maybe the Strat file or his league manager file until like the 3rd round. So he may have been going off of stats and estimating and saying, Danny White will probably be pretty good. I don't know, but what do you think about the Danny White selection?
I think that was more of a fan pick. I mean, you have the right. You pay your entry fee. He's a Cowboys fan, an 80s Cowboys fan was where he grew up, falling in love with football. But yeah, obviously, if you're looking at his rankings in the ratings disc, you're better off with a lot of guys. Marino would have been the next pick on your ranking or on the ratings disc, and mine would have been Marino as well. Marino has very low turnovers. Montana's good as well. All those good. I mean, the thing is that it's not a bad pick in the sense that he's going to get good quarterback play. He's going to have top half of the league quarterback play, and there's really it's a lot of subjective ways to look at things. But he's right in there. He's one of the good quarterbacks. He has a lot of blue on his rating sheet guide as you're looking at there.
Yeah, like you said, nothing wrong. Look, if you're a fan and you pay your money and you want to take the guys you want to play with, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I don't think that he was the top half of the set. I had Neil Lomax, Bill Kenny, Jim Plunkett. Let's say those 3 guys, for example, clearly ahead of Danny White, and that's after Marino. To me,
why would you put Lomax ahead of White? He has just looking at the quarterback rating there, which is kind of a way to sum it up. I know you've done tweaks to it, but he's a 56 and Lomax is a 55. They're right in the ballpark.
I'd have to go to the end of my stupid thing there. Hold on. What you're now asking me to do. Because I don't have it memorized, but hold on.
So you're doing some kind of calculation to take something and using that as the subjective.
Yeah, because I think the Strat rating, like those Strat things, they always screw the scrambling quarterbacks. I bet you Russell Wilson doesn't usually come out too high on those sheets.
No,
and anyone who plays the game knows that particularly in the modern seasons, where there's not a whole lot of pass rush. Those guys with the good must-run cards where like 2 to 8 is at least 5 yards. I mean, they do really well because you can move the chain so easily with them. You don't have to get the first downs completing. The other guys are kind of all or nothing. But I'm not sure. Looks like Neil Lomax has got better yards. If maybe guess right, maybe because I shifted it to like 69% right, 31% wrong. Maybe that could be a reason why.
It's not that big.
Adding in the must runs, I counted like must runs of like 5 yards or more or something as like completions, and that gave Lomax like more completions than Danny White guessed right. But I had Lomax way ahead. I mean, I even had. I mean, on my quarterback, the quarterback formulas and ratings are always tricky. We all know that. Chad Pennington leads the league in ratings. That certainly wasn't the best quarterback in the NFL that year. So it's always tricky to try and find like a one quarterback number. So I didn't like follow these, religiously, but I just felt there was too many of the guys that were decent enough that Danny White is not a good first pick, but the guy's a fan and maybe didn't have this, so that would explain a lot. I was interested by Paul's pick of Eric Dickerson, number 6 overall. I remember talking with Rick Byrons after the semifinal for 2013, after he defeated Paul, and we were talking about the 83 set. Rick's an all-time player and played with it back in the day originally, as I did a lot of guys in this league. And he felt like he wasn't that thrilled with the Dickerson card, didn't have the short gains on wrong and stuff like that. But I like that card because it moves the chains. I mean, that card is just full of like +4, +5, +6, +7. And then if you guess wrong, which is going to happen a lot, he's going to occasionally pop those long gains. He's got 2 and 12 long gain. On end run, 2 is +85. It's basically a touchdown. And 4 is like +33. So, and his individual fumble number was not as bad as I thought it was. He has that reputation. So I thought that was an interesting pick. And I thought Dickerson was a guy that maybe his card didn't look great, but I thought he was going to end up doing really well in this league. What do you think about Dickerson coming into the draft?
Yeah, and again, it's about value. You're getting Dickerson without clogging up your halfback spot, so he can still take somebody else.
Yeah.
So you're getting him as a fullback, and the fullbacks that came with him were pretty decent too. Not one of the top 4 as a pass catcher, but those guys can block and they can catch a little bit.
Yeah. You could technically take that group and play Dickerson at halfback and Redden at fullback, or vice versa, and kind of be okay. Or do something cute with your halfback spot and get somebody who's maybe a really good receiver or something like that. And it gives you a lot of flexibility. So he went higher than I thought he would. I probably would have taken Peyton over Dickerson. I might have taken William Andrews over Dickerson. I'm not sure. So I hate the tight ends in that Atlanta group. At least Marion Barber's not too bad in the Rams group. Can't go deep, but he's decent, flat and short. I think a 5 blocker. Montana, or I would have looked at certainly. But that was an interesting pick at the time. So as we move on to the second round, of course, Paul's already 2-0, but it's Paul halfway.
2-0 and averaging 33 points a game. So
nice. So we move on to round 2. And let's see what we got here now. This was interesting. Some of the second level defensive back groups started going. And these are the ones you needed. If you were going to try and get a good, you had to then get, I think there was maybe 3 possible secondaries. New England, Denver, Kansas City all had 20 points. And you kind of had to get one of those now to try and get a good pass defense. Looking at this whole set, looking at the interceptions, looking at the pass rush over the pass blocking, with a lot of pass rush and not a lot of pass blocking, I kind of felt like, no matter how it plays out mathematically, I want to be better against the run, if I had to choose, than the pass in this set, because if guys want to pass, they're going to get sacked, they're going to get picked off. There's just not a lot of quarterbacks and not a lot of pass blocking out there that are going to be low turnover and are going to avoid the sack. And also these groups, even though they have 20 points, it's like, this group's got a 4 corner. 2 of the groups have got 0 corners. This group's got a 4-5 corner. Oh, no, that's New Orleans. They don't count. But there's 3 groups, and it's like one's got a 4-6 corner. The other 2 have got 6-0-6-0 corners. And I know you can double the hell out of that 0, but I was like, oh, boy, that's a tough spot. I know now how much the good is worth, so it's an interesting call. They're kind of a tough spot for guys. What do you think about those New England, Denver, and Casey secondaries and guys eyeing them early in the second round and throughout the second round?
Yeah, I think that they're looking at the same thing you're looking at. I agree. You want to get good pass defense. I think I put that as a priority coming in. I focused on trying to get a linebacker group here. I believe I took the New Orleans linebackers because that gave me the flexibility to still possibly get at this point in the draft a good setup, whether I go 3-4 or 4-3. Actually, I knew at this time when I took this pick, I knew I'd have to go 4-3 to have a realistic shot at good. Because by taking the New Orleans linebackers, I'd have 8 points that I could go with 3 or 4 different 4-3 lines to get that good run defense. And having 8 points meant that any of the secondaries that were 19 points, if you go back down to your list of DBs, having to get the ones in the 20s is, you're having to take some with some blemishes. Some of the ones with 19s, in a way, were better than the ones
with 20.
Yeah, well, you still have that one group, the LA Rams, which has your 0 left cornerback. There were a couple of left cornerbacks, there were a couple of right cornerbacks you could get in a special teams pluck, either the Green Bay Packers or the Rams secondary special teams would give you one of those 4 left cornerbacks or right cornerbacks that you could plug into your unit. So, there was a couple different ways to do it. I hate having to do that with my special teams, but I did wind up doing that. But
so it was interesting that then Sean, the Rileys like the defense we're learning in these leagues. Sean took that New England DB group, which was the best of the 20 pointers because they didn't have a corner 0, 4-6-5-5, okay, and paired them with the Giants right away to give him a good, I believe, a good pass defense. Yes, 28 points. And then I guess maybe because of those corner 0s on the other 20-point groups, New England and Denver and Kansas City, no one else took either of those groups.
Right.
Those groups, because I can see that, and I felt that way myself. You look at those groups, and it was like, well, I could take one of those groups and maybe have a chance to get a good pass defense. But I'm spending now my second round pick on a group with a corner 0. Is that really where I want to go in an era that has a lot of interceptions and sacks? And
there wasn't any. There wasn't any left. There wasn't any cornerback. There wasn't any DB help 5s or 6s like we usually see in the modern league from the special teams unit. So you could get a 5 cornerback or a 6 cornerback to improve one of those groups. If you were going to take that group, you were more than likely going to be stuck with a 0 cornerback. Yeah,
and if you want to try and get one of those 4s from the return game, you're probably getting an inferior return game group. So there was some problems there. So I'm not surprised that after New England, everyone else kind of said, you know what, let's stay away from these the Denver and Kansas City groups. But then I think they fell to a point where they became a great value for people in the 3rd round. I mean, the next one wasn't taken until the late 3rd round, I think. Kansas City went late 3rd round, and I don't know where the hell Denver went. Cincinnati looks. I can't find them right now, but anyway, I'm probably missing it. They didn't go. I'm probably missing it. But regardless, after he took the wing on the DB slipped until they became a good value. Then you had Jason. He's a Dallas fan. Took the Dallas halfback group. Didn't like that pick as much.
The Denver DBs went in the middle of round 3.
Okay.
Joe, right. Before the other group, before the KCDB group.
Okay, and those I think were both good values there.
Yeah.
That's not the second round now. That's the middle and late 3rd round. Yeah, you got the corner 0, but you're getting the good now, and obviously available picks aren't as good there. So that was I think good value for both of those secondaries, even though they're playing with a corner 0, which I think most of us would say, my God, that's not something I want to do in one of these leagues. What do you think about that? Now I know you said he likes Dallas, so we're not Jason. We're not trying to beat up on you too much. If you're a fan of the team, that's who you're going to take. What would you think about that Tony Dorsett going there with the number 2 second round, going ahead of Billy Sims, for example?
I think he's totally, again, it's a pick where you get your favorite player on your favorite team. I think that's fine. I told you that if I had the first pick in the draft, I would have bypassed the quarterbacks and taken the Seattle halfbacks because I think it's a really good unit. It may not be the best unit, but it's worthy of a top 4, top 5 pick. And I get my favorite player on my favorite team or one of my favorite players. So the guy grew up a Cowboys fan. Does it really matter that you took a running back group 1 or 2 below what you could have gotten? Because, in exchange for that, you got somebody that you love playing with.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your priority. I mean, Dorsett, I think, will be effective. Look, in Strat, the good backs, the good back cards are almost always effective statistically, and his card is a little misleading. I think we see that 9 short game right and wrong, and okay, this is not that great of a card. It's it's going to be zeros and -1s on right, but he's not really like that. If you look at this card, I mean, 6 + 2, 7 + 5. His linebacker, he's got the 70 yards, otherwise pretty good. The MM right is always risky, but you can move the chains a little bit with this card on right, but it's not nearly as good to me. I mean, that Billy Sims card, that's a nice looking card. But just as an experienced track coach, when you click it open, forget any math, and you look at this card compared to the other one, I'm like, yeah, this looks a lot more palatable. The short gains on 8 and just the positives, 4 and 6 yard gains and stuff just look a lot better.
Yeah.
And then he's got the receiving card and go deep, and not only just go deep, he's got like 10 units there. And look at the 5 pass wrong, 6 + 17. I didn't look at Dorsett's, to be honest, but I really like this Billy Sims card. Doesn't have as many carries as Dorsett. I thought Sims slipped and was really a great steal. Well, maybe not a steal, but a real nice value to get at number 9 in the second round.
Yep.
But Jason does get Timmy Newsome, great receiving card, which will help.
It's interesting doing this podcast after the season started because, I agree with you. I played David and San Francisco, and that Billy Sims card was a pain in the butt to stop. But check this out. David, for whatever reason, has started off 0 and 4, whereas Jason is now 4 and 2. So
okay,
it's tough to say. I mean,
well, I haven't looked over. I just got back real late 2 nights ago, and I haven't looked over the success or failure of the teams, except to know that Paul's 2-0 and I'm 0-1. Yeah, so I guess I'm excluding, what they've done so far. I'm just kind of looking at.
It's hard for me to ignore
what I think
that.
was right or wrong. Okay, well, yeah, well, of course. Well, if you've already looked at it, then you shouldn't. I understand that. But to me, I mean, if you come out of the first 2 rounds with Danny White and Tony Dorsett, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm not that thrilled with that combo right there. But he's 4 and 2, and he'll probably beat up on me now when we play. And and hey, it's working for him. So I wasn't a big fan of that pick. And there was really a lot of gray area here. Once you got past,
yes.
But to be honest, once you got past Fouts and Barkowski, Kurt Warner, Walter Payton, Dickerson, William Andrews. I'm going to say Billy Sims, who I think slipped. Those 2, 3, 4 defensive lines, and the Giants linebacker group, and let's say Joe Theismann. Once you get past all of that, there was it was all really preference, because there was nothing really leaping out oh wow, you got to take this pick here. What an awesome pick!
Let's talk about your pick in the second round, because I know that you were going through several different scenarios there.
Let's. I don't like to focus too much on our own teams compared to the other guys. So let's go through some of the other picks, and then I'll get to my pick. How about that?
Hold on. Your pick is a perfect example of this. Like you said, you get past a certain spot, and it's personal preference. You went for a value pick there. You still have a chance at that Billy Sims halfback card. I know you were thinking of taking or at least considering the Sims halfback card, but you went for the value.
I did not consider the Sims halfback card.
You just said it slipped. It was a great value. You didn't even consider it?
No, that's correct. I did not. Because, here's what happened. What happened to me was when I was sewing, I thought Kenny Anderson's card went way too high. I had a lot of talk with Rick about him after the semifinal 2013 game. And, my ratings, Kenny Anderson's card was screwing my ratings because he had so many completions on flat pass, but he had a lot of interceptions and he had the must runs. And he was kind of like breaking my rating system, because of that unusual combination that he has of attributes in this card. I thought he went too high, though. I had pushed him down a lot lower. I really was maximizing the low turnovers on the quarterbacks in this set, or just the prolific type of card that Fouts has, who's really not that bad turnover compared to this set. But so for me, you had like Fouts, Barkowski, Theismann, Montana, and Marino, whatever order you want to put Theismann and Montana. And Marino's card not great, but so low turnover and good on the bomb wrong. That I was really hoping to get him. And I was like, boy, I got the run defense. I'm going to get Marino, and I'm going to play, ball control and all that type of stuff. And Lawrence broke my heart. He took Marino one pick before me. He was number 7, and I was number 8. And, then to be honest, I really wasn't ready to make a pick. We have spoken, about whether or not there should be a little more time after announcing the season in which to prepare for the draft. But I wasn't really ready. So I ran through a lot of things, and I didn't have my math done at all on this group, but I just felt like, the fullback, there were almost no groups. There were very few groups where the fullback tight end was like a nice combination where you were happy with both, because in like the modern leagues, the fullbacks are just blocking backs. They're like an afterthought. You're really taking the tight end, and it's nice if you can get a blocking back who can do something, but the tight end is really the one that you're going for. And but I just felt like in this group, Jerry Ellis got he's got a great receiving card. He's got a pretty good running card, even though he fumbles. And Paul Kaufman's one of the top 2 tight ends with a really good card. I just felt like, this is going to give me a better chance at 5 good receiving weapons, which I like because guys can't double so easily. With all the great receiving running backs in this set, I said I really would like to have 2 good receiving running backs. So guys are a little more reluctant to blitz those outside linebackers, either for sacks or against the run. So I took the pick that I wasn't sure if it was a good pick or not, but I went ahead and took it. And I still haven't done the math on the tight end fullback because once I took my pick here, I said I'm not going to do the math on that position anymore. So I couldn't even tell you on my yards per game thing where that stood out.
Good deal. That makes sense.
But but no, I did not consider Sims. I just felt because you're getting Ellis and Hoffman over Sims, I felt was a better way to go for me. And I liked some of the other options. And I had in the back of my head the whole time, I wonder if I can get Wilbert Montgomery somewhere if I have a decent fullback. And you're also getting Jesse Clark in this Green Bay fullback group. I did end up getting Wilbert Montgomery much later on. He's got an excellent card, one of the best cards in the set, but only like 11 carries a game. So, besides some other halfback things I was looking at. Looking down the rest of this draft, I like your pick. New Orleans linebacker is very solid. Did not like the Kenny Anderson pick there. I thought that was too high. Plunkett pick was solid. I think look, you're going to get a solid quarterback. I can't complain when you take him, even though Plunkett's not great. I think there's a drop off after Theismann. Marino. I would have taken Marino over Plunkett, but Plunkett's got a little better for completion, so I can see that. Green Bay, although the good linebacker groups were going, after the Giants went, you had the Saints went here to you. And Green Bay went at number 6. Then later on, you had Cleveland and Pittsburgh going. So the linebacker groups are always popular because you got the pass rush and they help you with both the run and pass. So I think guys do a nice job there. Now, Paul, this is interesting when you follow the particular defensive line. Not a lot of good pass blocking in the set, and you want to run the ball a lot in this set. He takes the best offensive line that I had. They maybe weren't the very best pass blocking, but one of the top 3 pass blocking and the best run blocking. So that was a good pick. Dan took San Diego offensive line, saying I'm going to make sure I don't get sacked. I didn't really like this Rick Byron's pick of Joe Cribbs that much for the Buffalo halfbacks. What do you think of that pick?
Well, show me your rankings of your running backs. I don't really remember. I wasn't even thinking halfbacks at this point, so I don't remember where Cribbs landed.
So you wanted me to take Billy Sims, but you were not even thinking halfbacks. What's up with that?
Well, you were just glowing over what a bargain that was. So.
Well, it was a bargain. It was a great pick. Especially you got Joe Montana. Joe Montana, Billy Sims. That's pretty exciting.
Nice.
Yeah. I could have taken it. Billy Sims maybe would have been a better pick. Probably would have been, but whatever.
Well,
And I like Billy Sims too. I had Joe Cribbs. Now this is again, I came with some crazy formulas trying to figure out some of these things. So I'm not completely married to them. For example, this is on like a yards. This is like a yards per carry, including fumbles, but not including like your attempts or something like that. So yes, I sorted it by max carries over here. I'd have to do that, but sorting by max carries, Joe Cribbs got to 63.1 in my rating system, which is pretty high. Kurt Warner was a 78. This includes your running, your fumbling, your receiving, and the number of carries you can get, which is why Moses Tutupu is only at 45.5, even though in the yards per carry he's the best one because he only gets like 13 healthy attempts.
I love that end run. I'm looking at the Cribbs card now. I love that end run card where it has from 6 to 10, at least 5 yards on it. Guessed wrong, and then 2, 3, 4 are all good. When you need those like 3rd and 4s, and the guy's going to call pass, maybe blitz his linebackers. I like having those end run guys that if it lands on their card, they're going to pick up the first down. So.
Yeah, I just don't like it. I feel like this Cribbs card. I used this card back in the day. The 7 short game, right and wrong, is cool. You hit it, you're going to piss guys off, and guys might not guess run. That often because of that. But that 5 through 8, -100 surrounding that, a linebacker everywhere is unsightly. You got to live with the 2 to 4, 10 to 12. He's always been a really good receiver. Joe Cribbs, a very, very good receiving card. It was particularly flat passes. He's got Steve Bartkowski. I don't know. Rick had success with Ben Tate and Arian Foster and those guys. I maybe would have passed on Joe Cribbs and taken something else. I don't know what. Curtis Dickey's got the great receiving card. Maybe the Miami OL, which he ended up with anyway. A couple of picks later. I screwed up here. I said that somebody took Plunkett the second round. That was wrong. That was the linebackers.
Oh yeah,
the linebackers, not Jim Plunkett that went the second round. So I forgive me, Joe, about that. Rated linebackers is a very good pick in the second round. Plunkett went in the 3rd round. So my apologies to Joe, and indeed no one took Plunkett over Marino. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't that thrilled with a lot of the halfbacks as number 1 running back types after that. I don't know. I mean, I like Cribbs, as like a complimentary player. I like Curtis Dickey a lot because he's such a dangerous receiver. Who'd you have taken, Curtis Dickey or Joe Cribbs?
Let me look at Dickey's card. Who wound up with Dickey?
He went the very next pick to whoever just played me, Dale.
Okay, so
his Dickey card just says he's got a sick receiving card. I mean, the running card, he's got a 9-short game, right and wrong. Cribbs has got a better running card, I think, by average. But the Dickey receiving card is just ludicrous.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, look at that. This is
you're not going to find, I love Shane Vereen, but you're not going to find this with a modern receiving quarterback. 7+20 running back, 7+20 right and wrong, 8 long gain. He's got 15 units of long pass wrong. I mean, this is a terrifying receiving. He popped that 8 long gain against me late in the game. But this is a terrifying receiving card, and I just feel like this is a card that I know that receivers aren't always the most important. Guys would be more afraid to guess run or do anything with an outside linebacker. When you got Curtis Dickey at halfback against this card, it's silly. He's got 15. He's got a good tight end long pass guard, 15 units. So with this card, I think I would have gone with this card over Joe Cribbs. Even just the fun factor, it's like wow, this is less like a Lenny Moore card. Not as good, but that type of deep play threat out of the backfield is crazy.
Well, the only thing I would say is I think that Dickey has a higher fumble rating.
Probably does.
So it's a little bit of a riskier card. Cribbs only had 6 fumbles in more carries.
Cribbs has got a 2.28 individualized fumble number. Curtis Dickey has a 3.54. That's a pretty substantial difference.
So maybe he's thinking that, but yeah, that does.
Actually, my formula has Cribbs better, but I think. I look at these formulas as a guide. On some things, I look at them strictly, but when they also to think like you always talk with the stratomatic element of making guys call run or not giving them too many guys easily double team and blah 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 all that stuff. And I think Cribbs also gets a lot more carries. I don't know if it's not a lot, at least a few more carries than Dickey. I don't remember about that.
Yeah.
Interesting. And of course, Rick's an excellent coach and just made the Super Bowl. So,
is Riddick better than Alvin Moore? That might be the other thing, that it's the combo of the two back.
Well, Rob Riddick, I think, is pretty much unusable because I think his fumble number. I think his fumble number is like 100.
Oh, then forget that. So much for that.
I think if you run the ball with Rob Riddick, you are yeah. He's down here somewhere. I remember. I think he was the guy. There was a guy who had like these. He's like, he's got pound signs, so it's worse than 38.46 on the fumble for Rob Riddick, whatever it is. I think I remember reading it was very, very high. I think Alvin Moore is actually a little better, but I don't think either one of those guys is going to be getting too many carries this year. I'll put it that way.
My boys have got to go to bed. They wanted to say goodnight to you real quick. Come on, Toto.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night, gentlemen.
Where are you at?
What am I supposed to say? What's the line for the Lord of the Rings?
It goes on. I don't know.
The equivalent of "May the Force be with you." What could I say?
Go with Gondor. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't think of it either, but okay. But all right, Godspeed. Good night,
there you go.
Okay.
Oh, may the valor be with you.
Whatever. Okay. So move on to the third round. I'll probably pick things up a little bit now because we'd like to talk about some of these teams and not just the draft. And again, so much personal preference here. Like in rounds like 2 to 4, especially, where there weren't really groups leaping out usually, and there was just so there was so much like closeness, and it depended on what you already had and what your defense was going to look like and what sort of offense you're going to play. So Dale grabbed the Green Bay receivers, which was the best group there. I really felt getting this Miami offensive line and even the Washington offensive line, especially Miami, to get one of those three lines, the Ram line, the Miami line, the San Diego line, and Cleveland even was in there as the fourth one. But certainly those first three, Rams, Miami, San Diego, was going to give you a huge advantage over the rest of the field because there's so much pass rush and such little pass blocking once you get to like the 6th or 7th offensive line that I thought those were all really good picks. I was hoping to get one of those going down into the third round, and I thought about doing one in the second round, but I already run my offensive line math numbers, which is tricky because if you come up with too weak pass blocking, you're going to get killed. And I decided, no, I'll go for something else. But I mean, what do you think about getting Miami, San Diego late second round, Miami early third round, the Rams late second round? What do you think about those picks?
Yeah, I think it's like what we talked about. There was definitely going to be a hole in your offensive line or several holes if you didn't get one of those. So it was a big deal. That's why I grabbed the Cleveland offensive line there late. I thought that was one of the last groups that you could get and reliably protect your quarterback. Although even with that group, in my 4 games I played so far, I'm still getting sacked quite a bit because the pass rushers are so good in this set.
I don't understand. We have a free safety blitz restricted on first down. So I mean, obviously,
it's the defensive ends with the, your four offensive tackle or your 5 offensive tackle against an 11 or 12 defensive end. Are you
not to get sidetracked on this issue, but are you getting free safety blitzed a lot?
I'd say it's pretty much business as usual. Just because I have that one free down on first down, I'm still seeing quite a bit of free safety blitz. I see a lot. I think I'm the one that's blitzing more than other people are blitzing me. I'm seeing it. Maybe they're showing it, but not actually bringing the free safety.
Okay, all right, but they're showing a lot of free safety blitz though against you.
That's normal. I don't think it's any more than normal.
Okay, I'm just curious. Okay, but you actually have a decent pass blocking line, so you probably wouldn't see it as much as other guys. But I've had a bit of a change of heart. I mean, Dan made some good points. I think about you're taking the elite quarterback and you're giving him like a pass on first down by saying, all right, your offensive line might not be that great, but you got Dan Fouts or Barkowski or whomever, and you're allowed to throw more on first down without being as afraid because I can't receive the blitz, which I think is a good point. which I didn't think of, but we already had the rule in. So anyway, so I thought it was great for those guys to get those good offensive lines. I thought about the Rams in the second round. I was hoping one would slip to me. Once Miami didn't, I was like, Then moved down. I like Washington's offensive line. Not as great pass blocking, but that left side, like all sixes, got great run blocking. So that's going to help. In both aspects. Again, make them a tougher team. You can pound a little more with one of those lines. I like Jim Plunkett here. Dan already had Kurt Warner. I think Jim Plunkett, Kurt Warner is a real nice combo. You like that combo? So especially third round for the quarterback. You said you have to take him in the second round. But Jim Plunkett, Kurt Warner.
Yeah, you're getting a guy that probably should have gone in the second round and the third round. So yeah, when you talked about the LA linebackers going in the second round, I didn't even catch that that it really was. You initially identified them as the LA quarterbacks.
Yeah,
because that's the right spot for them. That's a bargain there for Dan, getting them in the third round.
Yeah. Now, Jim. I screwed up, and I apologize, which I already have done. An email many times to the guys. When I would put together my spreadsheets that I sent out to everybody with the combos, I was using the starting defensive lines for all these teams, and I was going through League Manager, and just if I saw right end, I assumed that was the guy. I didn't sort them by run, which you said I should have done in hindsight. So, in the League Manager was kind of screwed up. Like if you look at the Jets, I go down to the Jets, right, and I click on their defensive linemen, and I sort by position, so I can see right and left easily. Okay. And they've got Kenny Neal here, and it says right end defensive tackle 08. But then if you double click on Kenny Neal, turns out he's a right end 48. So I don't know what the hell League Manager is doing there. And even if you sorted him, even if you sorted by defensive rating, he still shows up as a 0 there. And that happened on the offensive line. I noticed it with Washington, I think, because there was a guy like Jeff Bostic or someone who was a named player that I recognized who was a 0. I said, this guy's not a 0. But he was a 0-5 at his backup position, he played two positions. So, but Jim did a great job of knowing that Kenny Neal was a 4 defensive end, and that pumped the Jets defensive line up by 1 point, and 1 point can make a big difference. And especially when you have a team with a defensive end, Mark Astano, who's a 12 with a 9 asterisk. Now you get going from 18 to 19 points. You're more likely to get it good. It's a 5-6-4-4, and you got the really nice pass rush of a 12 with a 9 asterisk on the as a down lineman is awesome. And then you got 8-5-8. So Jim did his homework there, and came up with a shrewd pick, and added that to his LA Raiders secondary. And now I don't know how you're going to pass against a team that's excellent against the pass. Has got 6s out in the corners and is ready to devour your quarterback. And he took a linebacking crew in the second round. So and that Jim's defense is going to be pretty awesome. That was a sneaky good pick. Most controversial pick of the draft probably is Paul taking the New Orleans halfbacks at round 3.6. Now, Paul had Eric Dickerson already, and he had the Rams offensive line. And I hated this pick when he picked it. I hated Paul. Paul's one of the best GMs out there, one of the best coaches out there, extremely successful, more successful than me. So he's probably happy to say, hey, Tom, what happened in the playoffs last year in Battle Royale when he thumped me handily. But it just felt like you're getting two guys that were kind of similar. I felt like Dickerson and Rodgers were both high carry, positive yardage guys who could each carry the ball 30 times for you. Dickerson's a much better receiver. And I just felt like, you're not going to run the ball 60 times a game, even if you want to run it 50 times a game. You have Dickerson, lay off that halfback for a while, lay off him and take something else. Take a good quarterback. Neil Lomax is not that bad, or Bill Kenny's not that bad. Maybe that KC secondary to help you maybe at a good pass defense. There were just other picks, so many of the picks there that I felt would have helped his team more than George Rodgers. I hated that pick at the time, but it's Paul. So I was like, well, maybe he's got a mad genius plan to work. And then when he got Willie Gault, I was like, oh, and here we go. This is Paul's genius plan. But then Paul later on in the thread was like, I don't know. I think I did kind of screw up because through 5 rounds, Paul ended up with no quarterback and no defensive units, which I think is hard to do, actually. You know, through the first 5 rounds of the draft, he did not have a quarterback and he did not have any single defensive unit, which I have to look, but I think it's hard to believe that that's ever happened before. And he felt
Paul did that last draft. He took all offense the first 5 rounds and then got his defense later.
Oh, he took all offense and no quarterback?
No, you're right. Nobody's ever done that. He's either done. You're right. I forgot about that. But he did go all offense the first, in our latest draft. But that included the quarterback.
That's one thing. But through 5 rounds, he didn't have a quarterback and he didn't have any defensive units. And I was like, holy mackerel. For most people, it's like, well, those are the most important things. So, but it's Paul. So I was like, all right, he's got a mega genius mad plan to destroy us all here, and it's going to work. And so far it is working. But in the thread, Paul later on said that maybe he had messed up and was thinking only 1 round ahead of time and blah, 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 blah. But I really hated that George Rogers picks. I really hated it. And I still think he could have done better for himself, even though Paul's always going to be successful because he's an excellent coach and knows what he's doing. But what do you think about the George Rogers pick? 3.6 after you already got Eric Dickerson.
Well,
okay. Did we lose?
I didn't hate the pick. I mean, when I'm going through these drafts, I'm looking at where does the guy rank as opposed to the units below him. And at that point in the draft, look at there's not another halfback unit that goes until round 4. And I thought Rogers was a solid halfback. Now, I don't think he was maybe the next one I would have taken. Looking at the list here, I see you have Joe Washington high. Again, you're right. He already has Dickerson, who's a higher rated halfback than Rogers, or at least close to the same. Where's Dickerson? Dickerson. Yeah, so you had.
While I'm clicking back and forth between different things.
Oh, okay, because you're having.
Let me sort this by. Well, because I've got different columns. Like this one here is sorted by the individual yards per carry, including the fumbles, subtracting them as a certain amount of yards.
This one is perfect. You have Dickerson at 12, Rogers at 14, which is really like 9 and 11, or 9. Yeah,
and they have the same number of 5.1 yards per attempt, and actually, as the number one back, the numbers are almost identical. So I have them as almost identical. Now, Rogers is better up the middle than Dickerson, so you're all getting column variance. It's a new one for me. Rogers is 906 on a line buck wrong, whereas Dickerson is only 675. And Rogers got a better average off tackle. Dickerson got a better average and run. That's on wrong. So.
But even on your rankings of the halfbacks that were available at that spot, if he wanted to go halfback, only Frank Hawkins was higher, and you wouldn't want to waste Hawkins here because you really want to take him as part of the fullback group. Joe Washington was also slightly higher, and I actually thought Washington was the guy I was going to wind up with. I had him targeted because I just liked his balance. I liked his end run wrong. But he got taken before I could get him. So I wouldn't say I hated the pick, but the reason why you take a group like Dickerson is so you can you get Dickerson as a part of the fullback group, so you can ignore the halfback group till late. Unless there's an impact player, maybe he should have taken he would have been a good person to take the Philadelphia group with Wilbert Montgomery.
Exactly, much later on. Exactly.
11 premium carries from Montgomery,
and 27 or 30 or whatever from Dickerson.
Right, so he didn't
because that's all he needs. That's all he needs is another 10, 12 carries of somebody.
So I definitely would have gone a different direction and targeted the Philadelphia group later.
Yeah, because it's not that George Rogers is a bad card. George Rogers has a very fine card, and George Rogers deserves to be someone's number one back in this league. But I just felt like you already got Dickerson, boy. Actually, I see what this is sort of now. I also did like a number 2 running back where it's like, if you only have 12 carries or whatever, I'm saying the guy already has the number one guy. So, but I'm sure, Paul always makes the playoffs all the time, unless it's a continuous league and his talent is really down, which happens probably about once every 10 years. It's happening right now in SSFA. So I'm sure Paul will be fine. I just felt like I just didn't felt like he could have done a lot better there. But the way his team ended up is going to make it very interesting because he's got these guys who can run the ball all day long and then positive yards with a good offensive line, and he's got great deep threat receivers. So it'll probably work out for him. But I just didn't like that pick where it was because you already had Dickerson. I think George Rogers here for somebody else would be a great pick. Like, wow, I got George Rogers at 3.6 to be a number one running back. Awesome, but I already have Dickerson. Jets offensive line, I thought that their pass blocking might have been a little weak, and their overall points weren't bad, but I didn't like that too high. My numbers showed me that Lomax and Bill Kenny were kind of like the last of kind of the quarterbacks you kind of feel kind of comfortable with. Like, all right, these guys aren't too bad, and I can kind of throw when I want, and and not feel like, oh, I got to be extra careful, like it's Lynn Dickey or something. I don't know. What do you think about Neil Lomax and where he went? I get the feeling some people feel like I took him too highly. What do you think?
Let me pull up the league rosters and actually look at his card. Do you have your rankings of quarterbacks there? Just pull that up on your spreadsheet.
Well, obviously, I took him, so he's going to be higher on my ranking than on somebody else's.
No, but I want to know who was around him you might have been considering.
I had him as a number 6 quarterback, ahead of Bill Kenny and Jim Plunkett even. Although I might have taken Jim Plunkett, because again, these quarterback numbers aren't set in stone. But I might have taken him ahead of. I might have taken Jim Plunkett ahead of Lomax because I like Plunkett's card. Okay.
Yeah, no, I like it. And remember, I told you before that to win in this format, you need big plays. Having a long gain on 9, guessed right, and plus 30 on 10 is a nice. This is a nice card, really nice.
I liked his flat pass act. Well, yeah, you do have to go deep. I agree if you can, and it's a set kind of made for that. But I also like that he's got a very nice flat pass card.
Yes.
I kind of wish short pass card was a little better. It's kind of like Ben Roethlisberger's card this year. Good flat pass, good long pass, not so great short. But I thought his flat pass card was pretty good of the guys left. The 5, 6, 7, the 2, 5, 6, 7, 12, and could hurt teams. 4 zillion completion on flat pass wrong. So I mean, he's not great, but I felt like he's okay,
Well, no, it's 4 and 7 on flat pass, or I'm sorry, you said flat pass. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And he has the double hits on 5 and 6 double teamed. You're going to have those times where you need a 3rd and 5, and the guy's got 2 guys, double teamed, and you're throwing to one of those guys, and it lands on a 5 or a 6, and you're like, yes, thank you.
Yeah. I felt like this group after. I felt like you had like Bartowski, Fouts with the big boys. Then you had probably Theismann and Montana, even though Marino's ahead, but Montana I would have taken definitely over Marino. So I don't know who I would have taken between Montana and Theismann. I feel like Montana and Theismann were the next 2. And I feel like Marino was kind of like in his own class as like the 5th guy, clearly low turnover. Not a great card, good deep, but the low turnover compared to the rest of the field.
Yeah, his card is actually, his long pass card is almost exactly the same as Joe Theismann.
He's got a real good long pass card, yeah.
He has a few more interceptions.
Yeah. And then after those 5, I kind of feel like Lomax, Kenny, and Plunkett were that sort of group of 3 that were kind of the last guys who you felt like, all right, I got a decent quarterback. I'm not struggling here, And then after that, it's like after that, you have the guys who either like too low on completions or too high on turnovers. With Kenny Anderson kind of being just a strange. I don't know what to make of Kenny Anderson's card. I mean, the great flat pass, but the high interception, and the good must run. I don't know. He's got just a weird card. I wonder how that's going to play out. That Kenny Anderson card. It'll probably be fluky. Probably, probably do really well some games. Other games struggle. I don't know. But so I kind of was hoping I didn't end up with Kenny Anderson, even though he's kind of good, because I just felt like, well, I'm going to go West Coast and I'm throwing picks. I don't know what am I doing here. I don't know what to do with that card.
Yeah, Kenny Anderson's actually benefited from the change we made to the rules that doesn't allow teams to come out in 3-3-5. You could really stifle an excellent flat pass card by double teaming 2 of the receivers every time, and increasing your chance for a turnover really high.
He's got look at it. It's a tremendous flat pass card. Even the +5 split on the interception, I'm right. Short pass is okay, but the must run is really strong. 2 to 6 is 10 yards or more. But interception is split on 10, and it's 2 to 7 on short pass right. Even 2 to 5 on flat pass right. So I don't know. I mean, so Kenny will have his moments and he'll have his games where he's not throwing picks and doing real well, but maybe a little bit of Andy Dalton syndrome that we saw in the 2013, where the picks were the problem. And I don't know. So, and he went pretty high second round. So I kind of wanted to avoid him. Stanford offensive line, that was one of the better ones remaining. Excellent pick. I don't know. The San Diego tight end fullback group, big on names. And Kellen Winslow's got a great card. Kellen Winslow is in the Hall of Fame. He's got like a wide receiver's card. And Chuck Bunty and James Brooks can do some things where they fumble a lot and they're not that great. I thought that pick probably went a little too highly. But again, I mean, Butch is a good coach. So, I mean, these guys.
It's crazy that Brooks card he's a 6'4" blocking back. So
James
you're getting
Brooks.
yeah, look at this. Let me pull it up.
I must have not been following the NFL that year.
I know. I just can't imagine it. But Wisconsin.
Well, he was a guy. He had some great cards. He had a Cincinnati card one year. It was awesome.
He's a 6 run block, 4 pass block.
Yeah, he's probably a good receiver. He's a pretty nice. He's okay receiver. Flat pass wrong is good. The yardage isn't that great and right. He can play halfback and fullback. He's got a pretty decent running card. I think the fumbles are real high. He had 8 fumbles in 127 attempts. I think that's killed him on my rating. Gives you some punt returning, not too bad.
It totally goes against my recollection of him as a
player.
Run. I don't get that, but whatever. That works out good for that.
Doug Muncie had 8 fumbles, but in 235 attempts, only averaged 3.8 a carry. Not a great card for Chuck Muncie there. Good receiving card, but you get Kellen Winslow. But those San Diego teams, they had so much talent.
Yeah.
James Brooks, Chuck Muncie, Kellen Winslow, West Chandler, Jesus, Charlie Joyner, the veteran there. You have Bobby Dugworth, but so yeah, interesting pick. But you get the great tight end, and you get something in the James Brooks there. Yeah, and I felt getting a real good tight end was kind of important because a lot of the receiver groups were kind of shaky this year, and if you could complement one of them with a real good tight end. But almost every receiver group had at least one real good guy. So if you got a top tight end, and then you had at least one real good receiver, and all the running backs can catch, I think it helped a lot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
that's what I got wound up with. So yeah,
Butch was probably eyeing that with Kellen Winslow. Then Joe then you got the Denver DVB and the Kansas City DVBs back to back, which makes sense because once one of them goes, you want to grab the other one if you want to try and get a good pass defense. Dennis, you got the Cleveland OL. That was an excellent pick there. See, we just should have given Jason the Cowboys, I think, is what we should have done. Because he might have been better off for the first 3 rounds because he did not get the Dallas defensive line because they were drafted before he went. But apparently his first 3 picks were Danny White, Tony Dorsett, and the Dallas offensive line. How about them Cowboys? You said he's 4-2, so I guess it's working for him. I did not like that pick. Minnesota defensive line, very interesting pick. You can do a lot of damage with them. They got real good pass rush and like guys with a bench who are monsters, I think. They were interesting. I don't think they're the best one left against the run. They were. Okay, 5-5-4 and a 3-4 defense. You get a 12 with a 4 asterisk as your left end. You get a 12 with a 2 asterisk as your right end. Then you get a backup tackle 0-12 off the bench to play nose tackle in passing situations. So basically in passing situations, you're going 12-12-12 on your defensive line.
Yep.
And then we know in these 3-4 groups, almost all the 3-4 groups have some good blitzing linebackers. So you might be throwing, depending on who you got. Oh, you already had the Giants linebackers, which is LT, who's a 12.
Yeah, it's crazy. His defensive pass rush is unbelievable.
So he's got 4. If LT blitzes, and if it's a passing situation, LT blitzes coming with 4 12s. Well, some of the other teams like Green Bay would give you a 12 and a 10, and Pittsburgh a 12 and 11. Even Miami's much lower down. I have them. They've got a 12 and 11. If you're a 3-4 and you got 2 linebackers that are like 10 plus, and you got some good passers on the defensive line, you're coming at the offense with like 5 guys that are like 10 plus. Or at least 4 because you're usually not going to nose tackle, but at least like 4 guys who are 10 plus. That's pretty awesome.
Yep.
I had 5 sacks in my first game. There's gonna be a lot of sacks this year. So that was kind of a cool pick. I thought kind of fun. That we all love. We all don't always draft the pass rush super high because it can be sporadic. It's not reliable. I feel like a lot of times, although it's a lot more reliable in these older leagues with less pass blocking. But when we have it, it's a lot of fun. When you have that pass rush, it's just you start getting those sacks. You get like 3 sacks, in a series of 4 or 5 plays. It's pretty exciting. You there, Dennis? I think we just lost you. Nope, he's there.
No, I'm here. I just muted my mic for a second.
Yeah, he's playing Lord of the Rings. That's what he's doing.
I'm not.
Round 4, we're going to try and wrap up the draft recap real quick so you can get into a little bit of the teams. Dennis has to work in the morning, so he may not be able to. As a matter of fact, we just stop right here. We look through the first 3 rounds. The rest of it, we know the guys did a good job. Paul broke my heart when he took Willie Gault 2 picks before. I wanted to take Willie Gault, make him my split end, then take the Philly receivers at Mike Quick. I would have had Willie Gault at split end, Mike Quick at flanker, and Paul Kaufman at tight end, which would have been extraordinary. But Paul said, no, I'm going to do better than you, and that's why I'm better than you. And he took Willie Gault. So how about we go to the teams now? What do you say? 3 rounds is enough? Okay. All right, let's look at the teams, have some fun with this now. We're just going to go down in order. Of course, I always fail to pick anyone for the playoffs, so this year no one makes the playoffs. There's 15 teams, a 14-game season, 8 wins, and you're in, correct?
Correct. 8 and 6, and you're in.
What if you go 7, 6, and 1?
There are no ties in the summer sprint or battle royale.
Well.
You play unlimited overtimes.
My next
a game to end in a tie.
So what? All right. So what if I have Donovan McNabb and he doesn't know what's going to happen after the first overtime?
Just make sure you stay clear. Keep your shoes clean because he might throw up on them. He's gonna have to keep going until he drops.
The next question is going to be what happens if you're 6, 5, and 3, but I guess that's moot. So 15 teams in the league, 14-game season, 8 and 6, and you're in. So you're probably going to see 7 to 9 teams in the playoffs. Although I think we ended up with only 6 teams out of 16, maybe, in 2013. So we'll see what happens here. Now, Dale had the first pick. Let's look at you got to tell me the names of these teams because I'm always forgetting the names of these teams. I just played the guy. I can't remember the name of his team. The Ashland Eagles. The Ashland Eagles. Okay.
Bring that whole column over to your other thing. Drop it in there.
Well, I'm not going to do it now. I'm too lazy for that.
Okay.
I might screw it up. And we're live on the air. I can screw it up.
Okay, just ask me then. They're Ashland.
Yes. Dale's the Ashland Eagles are the first pick in the draft. We're going to go down 1 to 15. This team's got Dan Fouts at quarterback. And this Dan Fouts card is just so silly. This card is awesome.
It is.
I mean, in my formula, Barkowski actually came out slightly ahead, which means that my formula probably is broken. But probably because he's so low on the picks. But I mean, look at this long pass wrong card. Man, 1, 4, 8, 14. You got 20 units. Is that right? 1, 4, 8. Did they bump up these cards? I don't remember this card being this good back in the day.
Can you imagine dropping this card into the 2014 set? Make this the Aaron Rodgers card or something like that.
Yeah, wow. I mean, this thing has got 20 units of completion on roll before you count the receiver. Yeah. So if your receiver isn't even maxed, but he's like number 2, that's 22 and a half units, and like they're all long gains. I mean, he's got 4 and 8 is not a long game, but I mean, wow, you get a long pass wrong, like against any defender on this card. You're like, oh my god, what's going to happen?
And if you double team the right receiver, and he rolls a 7, you're going, what the heck?
Yeah, he's got 12 units on right. He's got 7, 8, and 12 on right. That 12, I gave him a 66-yard completion on the 12, I think, in this last game. I know he hit it. It was a big spot. And then if that was enough, you got 2 to 9 and short pass wrong with 8 being a receiver. I mean, the short pass right has got 20 units. And the flat pass isn't bad. And you can throw flat. You can throw some flats because guys are trying to double and guess pass and blitz, do whatever they can against Dan Fouts. So I mean, this is a tremendous card. And then because we're in a draft league, a single season, you can have a decent running back. And sure enough, he's got Curtis Dickey at halfback. You can see you got Dan Fouts. You got that sick Curtis Dickey receiving card. It's a decent running card. Now, I did not like that Dallas blocking back selection too much. Doug Cosby's got a real nice tight end card, which I guess he was going for. But I got to switch to the right league. I'm looking at 1983 NFL. instead of Summer Sprint. But, Ron Springs and I think it's mostly Ron Springs that he gets out of that group. I mean, I think he's a good receiver and a good pass blocker. I think you might have been looking at that. But I was not a big fan of that Dallas blocking back group. What do you think of that group?
Well, remember, he's taking it with Curtis Dickey as his halfback. So I think he likes having that 5 pass blocker as a blocking back in Springs. And all those guys can catch a pass. I mean, Jefferson, Lofton, you get Cosby, who's right below the upper tier tight ends, but he's like number 5 on my list. And you get
very good tight end card.
Yeah, and you get guys who are every one of those guys can go deep. Your halfback, your fullback, your 2 receivers, and your tight end. When you got 5 guys that can go deep, and you're facing some average pass defenses, and there are a lot of average pass defenses, you can rack up the points in a hurry. Especially with Fouts, you're going up top.
Yeah, I mean, and Ron Springs can go deep, but it's only 6 years, 2 and 6.
It doesn't matter if you land on a 7
more of a flat pass, short pass card. But I felt also like you get so many pass calls with Fouts. I would like to get a guy who can run the ball a little better, probably, as my as my fullback.
Yeah.
And there were some guys out there who I think would have fit the bill a little more nicely. Now, I don't think he took this pick too highly at all, by any stretch of the imagination. Late 4th round. So he took it over the Bears.
Wow.
You can get Matt Sui's got a nice card. You get and Emery Moorhead is not that bad. I'd much rather have Emery Moorhead and Matt Sui over that Dallas group. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't realize that. Sui has a great card for running the ball.
Yeah. I wouldn't say great, because definitely a good solid card running the ball.
Yeah.
And I think he might be a 5 pass blocking also, and also a pretty decent receiver. Can't go deep, but also a pretty decent receiver. And Emery Moore is not as good as Doug Cosby, but if guys are going to go, past you a lot and nickel 3-3-5 where they can, you need some more attempts than you're probably going to get from Curtis Dickey and Ron Springs. Just hit me for 30 points in my season opener. So, but yeah, so the Dallas thing works to an extent, but I just the Bears would have been a much nicer fit. I feel like it's got the Green Bay receivers, the Kansas City offensive line. You can sack this team. I was free blitzing. I was free safety blitzing him a lot. I had 5 sacks against him. I got burned one time, which Dan Moran would be happy to hear. Since he is, that's what you do, is you beat the free safety blitz. And he's probably right on it. He's got 3 5s, a 4, and a 2. I can't see right. The 3 5s, a 4, and a 2 as his pass blocking. So he can't really just sit there and fire away all day long with Fouts. So that might cause him some problems. But Curtis Dickey can run the ball well. And Fouts has got such a great card. And then his defense is average. And average, you got the Denver defensive line. He has to have one of the worst pass rushers in the league. Because I played that team, and I have the worst offensive line in the league by far, the Giants. I wasn't even worried about it, really. So his defense, it goes 4-5-5, 4-5-0-5, 4-5-6-0. Not a lot of pass rush there. But the offense is so explosive that this team is pretty tough. And I can't – good, Dennis.
I was going to say he maximized his team in almost every spot to help Fouts except for that offensive line. With a great offensive line, that might be an unstoppable offense.
Yeah, I wonder if he had a chance to grab an offensive line instead of the Green Bay receivers. Let's see what he could have done here. He could have took the Miami offensive line over the Green Bay receivers. I'm not going to say the Green Bay receivers are a bad pick. They're the best group in the set. But you got to keep Fouts upright. And maybe if you're taking that Miami offensive line, and grab, some other group of receivers, even like the
Washington group.
I think they would have been gone before he drafted again. But even if you ended up with a group that wasn't that great, like the St. Louis group or something, I think I'd rather go that way than have the the better receivers and the inferior offensive line with Fouts. So it's a good team. This team's gonna be really tough because Fouts is so great, and he's got all those weapons, and he got Curtis Dickey, and so I'm not going to pick them. I think they'll be at least 500, but right now I'm not picking anybody for the playoffs unless a team dreams out of the playoffs. Then I'll add my playoff teams at the end. You like that team? You like Dale's team?
I do like it. So you lost to them, and you obviously think that you're going to the playoffs, but you don't think
not necessarily. Not necessarily. I do not obviously think. I did not pick myself to make the playoffs the last time around until I realized I'd only picked about 4 teams and I had to add some of the teams. But this team is really my team this year is really a Frankenstein's monster team. As I said, I'm using this stuff as a lab for my spreadsheets, but we'll get to my team eventually. But I like the team. I think the team will be at least 500. I think Dan Moore made a great point. I mean, no free safety blitz on first down helps this team a lot because he's got fouls and does not have great pass blocking. I was free safety blitzing in like every single play that I could. So we'll see. He coached the team well. The team's real tough. I'll probably end up picking them for the playoffs, but I'm not ready right now. Right now, it's got to be that solid all-around team that jumps out at me. I'm going to say yes, definitely playoffs. Otherwise, I'll add the teams in later. Okay.
Okay.
And why do you keep track? Somehow.
No, you keep track.
Well, I can't write something down as we're doing this. I can only click and change colors. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Gotcha. So I have those 2 columns those 2 blank columns. I'm going to put one for Tom, one for Dennis.
Sure.
And we'll track this. I will save this as the playoff prediction spreadsheet.
Okay. And now you're going to make your playoff predictions as we go, or you're going to backtrack like I am at the end?
I'll backtrack too. So let's go. I like this team. But let me find it.
If you want to you can make yours because you did a good job with that. But all right, Rick's team, Rick Byron's Super Bowl runner-up or whatever you call it. Well, he lost Super Bowl. I don't know. So he made the Super Bowl. That's a better way to say it. In 2013, a longtime excellent coach. Had the number 2 pick. Got Steve Bartkowski, Joe Cribbs. We talked about interesting tight end fullback group with Ozzie Newsome. The great Ozzie Newsome is a great card. And Mike Pruitt is actually fumbles a bit, but not that bad. And kind of works with like Joe Cribbs kind of in a way, This Detroit receiver group I thought was a little unheralded. They have some good like downfield passing stuff and some flexibility in terms of who you use as that second receiver. And if you've got Joe Cribbs and you got Ozzie Newsome and the Detroit receivers with Steve Bartkowski and then the Miami offensive line, this is oddly like his 2013 team where the quarterback was a star and he had a pretty good offensive line and the rest of the parts were decent, not great. I mean, you do have Ozzie Newsome, the Cleveland tight end, but so I like that. It's kind of like a balanced kind of overall type of an offense that looks interesting to me. He's got the Buffalo defensive line. He's average. That's not a great defensive line. Tampa Bay linebackers, Washington secondary. I don't know. I don't like this team that much. Where is he playing this year? Anaheim.
Yeah, Anaheim.
I don't like the defense that much, and I wonder if the offense has enough to overcome it. But I mean, the guy went 11-4 last time, and it got certainly the most out of that team. He's playing at 3-4, right? Yeah, Buffalo. He goes 5-6-0. That 0 at defensive right end doesn't hurt you as much as it does in the modern seasons because this is not really a blocking back era. So if you want to run to that side, you're running, with your running back blocking the offensive onside end. You're not getting that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
In the modern game, your offensive onside end over there is your blocking back. So that's not as bad. 0-4-5-6 at linebacker. 6-0 at corner. 2 zeros in the secondary. Jesus. 0-6 at safety. I don't like that defense. But I know what kind of coach Rick is, so I'm not going to write him off. Right now, I'd probably pick him not to make it. Like I pick everybody not to make it. What do you think about this team?
Yeah, I've changed my mind. I'm going to give you the picks as we go. Dale, I'm going to say doesn't make the playoffs because of those flaws that you pointed out. Rick, I'm also going to say does not make the playoffs simply because of the average defense. And, he also has a couple of spots where I think he's going to get hurt a little bit.
All right, I think I'll do them as I go, with the ability to make changes if I wish as we go. And I'm going to pop Dale in the playoffs right now. I played that team. Fouts is so tough. I like the way he ran the offense. I'm going to pop him in right now. I'm going to leave Rick out on personnel, but from what I saw coaching, the way he coached last year, I bet we're going to see a real low turnover offense that does a lot of nice things and better years from Cribbs and Pruitt than people might expect. But for now, I'm going to pick him not to make the playoffs. And if he makes it, maybe I'll put him in that poll category. We'll just automatically pick the guy to make the playoffs. Number 3 is this guy, Mike. I don't know anything about this guy. Tell me something about Mike.
Mike is a really nice guy. He is in, I think he's in SSFA or SOMSPA.
Probably
yeah,
I know all the SSFA coaches.
Yeah, so he's in SOMSPA, and he coached also in my my stock league. He covered a couple teams there. Solid coach. I thought he had a really good draft, especially on the defensive end. And getting Kramer as his quarterback, I like Kramer's card. I know that it's flat pass heavy, but you know, he put together a defense that's got good with a 3-4, which is tough to do. All the other, there's only one other team that has that good with a 3-4. Oh no, 2 other teams, excuse me. So I like it. I think he has a shot to be dangerous in the playoffs. I actually picked him to be a playoff team. He's gotten off to a 1-0 start, I believe. Let's see. Yes, he's Cleveland.
He's undefeated.
So, undefeated. He's on his way. 7 more wins.
Now, always tough to say because it's a new guy never played before. You know, I mean, the coaching is real tough in this league. Now, is Mike? Do you think is Mike an experienced, quality coach? Are you confident, or have you not played him enough to really know yet?
Head to head, I haven't played him.
Okay.
Let me pontificate for a minute. Let me pull up his what teams he covered in my stock league, and I'll tell you what he did.
Consider the lilies, how they toil in the field. How's that? How's that for pontificating? Yeah. So yeah, for me, it's always like I see a guy I never heard of this guy before. Coaching is, and coaching is so important in Strat. He's the only guy playing this season that I don't have personal history with. But I do like Tommy Kramer as the old, king of the dipshits type of thing. Where if you were drafting the second half of the league in quarterbacks, even though I had him kind of like as like my worst with my stupid formula, but that's just a stupid formula. I like his card. His card just looks like a card that if I can't have a top half quarterback or a top 7 quarterback, this card can definitely do some things. The flat pass is awesome on this card. The interception split is on 10, but again, you're talking about a guy you draft late, and you did draft him late. The long pass is a little dangerous, so if you have a short pass is okay. Moss runs very poorly, unfortunately. But you can go West Coast with this guy if you have a decent running game and some receivers, maybe get some play action going. Let's see what Mike's got. Now he's got the Minnesota halfback group, not a strong halfback group, and the San Francisco fullback group, not a strong fullback group, and the Miami receiver group, not a strong receiver group. The offensive line is good. He's got Washington, but yeah, so I think that offense is really going to struggle. And actually, despite the good on defense, and the San Francisco situation, and it can be real tough on defense. I think this team's going to struggle mightily. Actually,
okay, I will change my pick. Looking at the teams that he coached, he took Tennessee to 6-10, which is about what you'd expect. He took New Orleans to 5-11. This is 2013 New Orleans team, which I would expect a little bit better than that. And then he filled in for the Rams the last couple of games and got them up to 8-8. So okay. I think he's taken a big step up here in the coaching competition. I like the draft that he put together. But I'm going to pull back my playoff prediction for him because I think it's a tough league, and he might need a year of experience against this level of coaching. Maybe not. Maybe
What,
he's really leagues don't realize it.
do me a favor. Look at that offense, and tell me tell me how that offense is going to perform in this league.
Okay.
I got Tommy Kramer at halfback. I got the Minnesota I got Tommy Kramer quarterback. I got the Minnesota halfback group and the 49 fullback group.
That's rough.
I got the Miami wide receiver. I got one great receiver. The other guy's not good. I got the Washington offensive line. But that running back quarterback combo, that's not going to go anywhere.
Well, he's going to pound you and try to move
With
the
what?
ball. Guess right behind all those sixes on the offensive line.
Who's he pounding me with? Darren Nelson and Roger Craig?
Yes.
Okay, if you say so.
Yes. You're going to look at that Kramer card. You're going to guess pass, and he's going to run it, and you're going to get +8, +6, +4.
I could play 3-4. I could play 3-4 and pop my free safety up and just run a lot. But I don't even have. I don't even have these running backs in the top 48. I can't find Darren Nelson. There he is. Darren Nelson, averaging 6.3 yards. I don't know.
Okay.
These running back cards are just not good. And you know how it is. I mean, yeah, they're going to call pass more, but you're not going to call pass 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So I think that offense is a little.
Yeah, I agree.
Bull. Defense is love the defense, love it, but I just think the offense is just there's nothing. Kramer's flat passing is not going to be enough to carry an entire offense when you can't really run the ball at all. If you had like a decent running back run card, if you had even like an OJ Anderson, or like an Earl Campbell, like that type of running back card, okay, he can get like 25 decent carries out of this guy behind a good line. I'd feel a lot better about the team. But Darren Nelson and Roger Craig in this year, not going to get it done. Those guys had some very fine cards in other seasons, but this year I don't think so. So I think the team's going to struggle. Dan, who has quickly emerged one of the best coaches in the online community, and who enjoys free safety blitzing and arguing with me, which I enjoy arguing, so it's fine. Let's see these guys. You got Jim Plunkett and Kurt Warner. That's a quarterback-halfback combo for you. The KC receivers, you got to like that. Carlos Carson's got a great card, and Harry Marshall's pretty good. He's got the San Diego offensive line. You got to like that. Got the Washington tight end fullback group. Crank up that diesel with John Riggins. But the tight ends, I think, are pretty bad in that group, and he lost at receiver. But I still think that offense looks real strong. Even if you have a weak tight end, I'm not sure how bad the other Washington tight end is, but Plunkett, Kurt Warner, San Diego offensive line, Kansas City receivers. That's a nice looking offense. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I love this offense. And when his first game result rolled in, I was shocked. He got rolled by Jason, 49-14. It must have just been one of those games because I see this as one of the top teams in the league.
Well, you have to understand the Cowboys. Cowboys cannot be stopped. Jason's just rolling out the Dallas Cowboys, and he's going to slaughter the rest of us.
Yeah.
Danny White punting. This is interesting. I just noticed that Jason drafted Danny White to quarterback. That also drafted the Dallas kicking punting unit when he already had Danny White as the punter. But Septien actually is a pretty good kicker, so I bet it was just kind of funny to see. Defensively, Dan's playing a 3-4 average. Dan is doing a tremendous job with the 2013 SSFA defense with a terrible defensive unit. So, he can coach that side of the football. New Orleans, DL, Cincinnati, LB, Detroit, secondary. I think that's not a bad, especially the back seven for an average is pretty good. The Cincinnati linebacker group is not bad for one of the lesser ones. They go 4-5-5-4. You don't like to have the fours in coverage, but it's a 3-4 and you got 5 on the inside. You can slide around. And they do have a 12-3 asterisk on the outside linebacker. And the Detroit secondary I thought was one of the better ones of the 18 groups because they go 5 to corners. 5-5 corner, 4-4 second safeties. So like again, if you look, you're going to be weak somewhere, especially with 15 teams out of 28. So if you're taking those picks later on, those are pretty good. And even the Saints defensive line, look at this, 5-5-4. I mean, it's an average, but you have the nose tackle 5, the left end 5, so it's 5-5-4, and you got a 5-12-8 pass rusher, the backup defensive end 12 off the bench. So very strong looking team, as you mentioned. we're paying lip service right now to special teams because we don't want to bog down in the show. The Giants, I think, have a pretty good kicker. I believe there's a lot of the kicking's going to be this league. The game's going to be close, and there's a lot of field goals going to be missed from the 13 to the 32. So that's going to be a big part, I think, of this season. But this is, I agree, a real strong team. 4 teams so far, but that's the best of the 4 that I see. I know that Dan can coach. Team is. I really like. I like when you see something where the guys got really good one side of the ball, and then the other side of the ball didn't spend picks, but ended up with like a concept that looks like it works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like it. Like I said, I think this is a playoff team for sure.
All righty. Let's move on to Silent Jim Riley. I call him that because he occasionally comes on to some of the football broadcasts, but never says anything because he's got his mic muted or he's in his car and he's listening. I don't know what he's doing. He's in court and he's not paying attention.
Yeah, he has no mic.
Okay. So I like to call him Silent Jim Riley. He's a great guy. And the Riley father-son team is with us once more. And Jim, as we know, went all defense. So I guess we should have started that time of the ball. He's good against the run, excellent against the pass, running a 4-3. He's got the Jets defensive line, which has a 12-9 asterisk at left end in Mark Astano, and an 8 left tackle in Joe Klecko, and an 8 right end in Kenny Neal. He's got the Cleveland linebacker group as a 4-3, and I always love when you can take a 3-4. I mean, I like playing the 3-4 better, but it's pretty cool when you can take a good 3-4 LB group and turn it into a 4-3 and make it even better, you know? Because this Cleveland group was 6-4-5-5 and 3-4, but they're 6-5-5 as a 4-3. So he's going 5-6-4 in the defensive line with great pass rush. He's doing 6-5-5 at linebacker with 9-7-12, and the 12 is a 7 asterisk, which actually 2 asterisk rather, which you don't even want because you got Mark Astano. But so that's good. And then he got the Raiders secondary with Cheater, Lester Hayes with the Stickum. He got 6s at the corners, a 4 strong safety, a 6 at free safety. So that back 7.
What? The Cheater? It was legal at that time. Stickum was not legal.
At one time, I think they outlawed it, and he kept using. I forget. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I'm a Raiders fan, but I had to point that out.
I didn't like it when I was a kid, and this guy's getting all this interceptions and gets Stickum all over the place. But anyway, regardless of Lester Hayes, the things we start arguing about, and that back 7 is very formidable. Do you know what, Jim? For a team that spent their first 2 picks on defense, that is good and excellent in a 4-3, that right side of the defensive line could be attacked with those 2 4s over there, which means he's going to have to be bringing those linebackers up, and that's opening up some flats possibly. So I don't know how shut down this is going to be. He's probably shut me out now. I don't know how shut down this is going to be compared to what you think based upon the picks he invested, but he did an awesome job coaching defense near the end of the Battle Royale 2013 season, just missed the playoffs, gave up like 3 points in like 3 separate games over the last 5. So he can coach that side of the ball as well. Now let's see what we're looking at on offense. Now he's got Joe Ferguson, quarterback. So I'm not sure.
I will point out that Joe Ferguson is not the quarterback. The quarterback is Koffler.
Is he going to use Matt Koffler?
Yeah, well, actually, he uses a combination of them. So he uses Koffler on short, like for his flat card, and Ferguson for when he needs to throw deep. Look at Koffler's must run card.
I saw it.
That's pretty nice, and his interceptions are killer deep. But Ferguson has a usable card deep. Still a lot of picks, but at least he has a few more hits.
Yeah, I thought he would go a different direction with the quarterback. I didn't have this group as one of the ones I would have taken this Joe Ferguson card. And long pass strong, he can do some things. Maybe we should focus on the rest of the offense first.
Sure.
Because the quarterback is almost like the last thing in this offense. Offensive line, he took Cincinnati. So he's got some run blocking. He's got the right tackle 6, and of course Anthony Munoz, the left tackle 6. The rest of the guys are 4s. Pass blocking 5-5-3-2-2. I'm just reading off pass blocking top to bottom, not in terms of position. So not a great offensive line, but it's not awful for a team that focused on defense in the draft. Now he has got an interesting situation. If you want to have a good defensive team in this era, you can play that old school, ground chuck style of football, defense and run the ball, ground and pound, as Rex Ryan would say. And he can do that, because he's got the Chicago fullback group. Matsui's got a very fine card and can block and receive, and Emery Moore is not bad. And he's got O.J. Anderson and Stump Mitchell with the St. Louis halfback group. And, O.J., much like Earl Campbell, O.J. doesn't have a great card, but it's not a bad card for a guy who, not the star backs. It's not Billy Sims and Kurt Warner and Walter Payton, okay? But you're getting like a second-level lead back, and if guys may not respect the card and you got a decent line, you can run the ball with these guys. And I guess that's where Kaufman was going to come in with the flat passing. So you might see a West Coast approach, and I like the running back combo for a guy that did not focus on offense. You got Steve Largent. Emery Moore's not too bad. I'm going to pick this team for the playoffs because I think that based upon my math, the excellent pass defense should be awesome. And he's got pass rush, and he was coaching tremendous defense at the end of 2013. And he can run the ball and play West Coast on offense and be conservative. He's not going to like the kick returns, I think. The Pittsburgh is a problem. But he won't be scoring that offense. So it won't be too much of a problem. No, I'm teasing. But I think this team sneaks in there 8-6 and something like that. What do you think about the Southern California Sun?
I am also picking them for the playoffs. I think he that excellent pass defense again is a difference maker. I did play his team already. I was able to scrap out a win, but I liked what I saw. It's one of those teams that's kind of scary. So,
what was he going ground and pound?
I thought he threw a little bit more than he should have. Maybe that's why I won. But he can go ground and pound, and he did that for portions of the game.
Okay. Yeah, he's the coach of this team like Rex Ryan with Craig McElroy at quarterback.
Pretty much. And you're probably wondering what I'm doing. I am trying to get lunches ready for tomorrow. So
okay.
Can you make my screen full? I'd like to show you a Chef Crowley's salad. Let me see how I can do this like this. So we got your.
Hold on.
Okay.
Here we go. All right, you're on.
Okay, so here we have some cabbage sliced up. You have some sharp cheddar cheese, tomatoes, avocado, some chicken with mayonnaise, and carne asada. I think you've got the screen focused on you, so make mine full screen so people can look at this beautiful salad.
Well, I've clicked on, and now I have it. I clicked on your name, and I'm seeing your thing.
There's my. Not just one of them.
Showing.
There we go. Got to make them two at a time. So That's your lesson for cooking with Crowley. A nice healthy salad. You're ready to go. A little cucumber, a little egg. You're good.
The Crowley kids are well by that choice of lunch. I think it will be filling and healthy. I think their age, the main content is not a problem. So I think we're good to go with the Chef Crowley salad, brought to you by Maybelline.
There you go. All right, on to the next team. So Jim's
we now return to Strat football with Tom and Dennis. But that was nice. I enjoyed that. And I'm getting pretty good with the control. Sure that was coming up, and it will show up. We'll see. Moving on to Paul, half man, half Mankiewicz, wins everything all the time. Always makes the playoffs. Made the semifinals last round. Thumped me in the playoffs in 2013. Let's see. He's got Lynn Dickey at quarterback. Excited. Throws a lot of picks, but has a lot of big gains. He's got the George Rogers, Eric Dickerson thing going. He's got Willie Gault and Wes Chandler. And, if you want to, Charlie Journey, if you want two running backs, Rams offensive line. So that offense, I think, will be real good. To say George Rogers pick, if I look personnel, I like the team. Yeah, Dickey's going to throw picks, but almost all the quarterbacks are going to throw picks. 2/3 of the quarterbacks are going to throw picks, and he's pounding you with that Rams offensive line and Dickerson and Rodgers, and then he's going up top to Willie Gault and Wes Chandler. That's going to be tough to deal with for any defense, I think. And you can get big runs if guys are going to try and give him the run. Defensively, plays a 4.3 is average. He's not focused on that side of the ball, and ended up with St. Louis, New England, Dallas, which I think gives him quite a bit of pass rush at a minimum. And Paul's job with pass rush in Battle Royale since I played against him. Escondido Burritos. That St. Louis defensive line goes 4.446. So that hurts against the run. But the pass rush, you got a 10, you got a 10, an 11, and a 12 with a 3 asterisk. Then he took the New England linebackers, which was a 3-4 group, and has turned them into a 4-3 group, which I just mentioned I'm often fond of seeing guys do. You get some real good value that way. And as a 4-3 group, New England's going to be 4.55, and the 4 is a 12 with a 5 asterisk. So the problem there is that the big problem there for Paul is that he goes 4.44 defensive line, 4.55 linebacker to 4.3 that he run on aggressively and flat pass against. Now he may blitz a bunch of guys and gets past and hope to hit his columns. So run defense, I think, will be a problem for Escondido, but Paul's an excellent coach and gets a lot out of teams like has gotten a lot out of some defense like the one he just finals with to beat me with. That defense isn't really that great. You got the secondary goes 6.044, but I wouldn't be surprised if he picked off somebody on special teams, so he doesn't have that 4 there. Looks like he did not. Looks like 6.0 at the corners, 4.4. Wow, so this team has got 6 4s on defense. Yeah. 0 at right corner. You got 3 4s on the defensive line. I don't like that defense. It's got a good kicking unit.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I think Paul's just going to outscore people left and right. So forget about the defense. If you want to beat Paul, you're going to have to beat him like 41-35 because he's just going to rack up points in the mid-30s all year long.
I'm picking Paul to make the playoffs because I think that he's such a good coach that he'll get enough done out of that defense. But maybe fall short of the Super Bowl or something because of the defense. A couple untimely picks from Dick in a big spot, but I mean, it's Paul. I mean, Paul always makes the playoffs. I killed the George Rodgers pick, but I love the way the offense looks right now. I mean, he's running the ball every time, and he's throwing a few passes in the downfield. And he's seeing guys, Willie Gault and Wes Chandler, and great offensive line. And you got to respect that running game. Then he can sack you on defense and do enough just messing around. There's no dump off and no disappearing linebacker with the white tie 6. It's not going to kill him. So I'm going to pick Paul to make the playoffs as well. You picked him, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah, he might. I don't know if he's going to score 35 points every game, but he's going to score a lot of points. And also because with that running game, sometimes he's going to control so much clock, that's going to help his defense out. Fewer possessions.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I played defense last time in the 2013 set. Is that I just kept grinding it out with Fred Jackson and Spiller. Just keep running, keep the ball away from, limit the possessions of the other team. And
the guy gets frustrated sometimes when that's what's happening to him. When you're controlling the clock like that, and he maybe gets a couple of 3 and outs, and he's like, "God damn it, what the hell's going on here?" And then, but it's only 9-0 on the scoreboard because you're getting field goals. But yes, I think Paul's going to do well. Now the Pactor factor. We're down to only 1 David this league. It looks like we had 3 in Battle Royale. So David Pactor is going to represent the David wing of Battle Royale and do his best. And he's well equipped on the offensive side of the ball with his quarterback halfback combo. Joe Montana and Billy Sims. Jeez.
Tough team. I don't understand how he's 0-4 right now. It's shocking to me. I played him. I'm one of the guys that beat him I was very, very tough to stop that offense. It just is perfect, exactly what you want in an offense. And he used it
Joe
well. He
Montana,
ran and made you start calling run and then hit you with Montana. It was nice.
he's got Montana and Billy Sims. Even the Pittsburgh fullback group, you get something out of those fullbacks. Frank Pollard, I think it is. He's not bad for a number 2 running back. Washington receiver, the Jet offensive line, not the best pass blocking, but Montana is mostly a flat pass guy, or I shouldn't say mostly, but you can use him that way.
Oh, in my game against him, the only reason I won is I was down 20-7, just before half with 15 seconds left. I hit a 74-yard bomb to the fullback, Kenny King, and that just turned the game around. So
shades of the Super Bowl between the Raiders and the Eagles. I think Kenny King had a long touchdown reception in that game. The Jet offensive line is okay, not great, but again, people have to respect Montana's flat pass, so it's hard to blitz him willy-nilly. So maybe the defense is the problem. He plays a 4-3 is average. Washington, Baltimore, Minnesota. I was wondering if anyone was going to take that Baltimore linebacking group, which is just a crazy group for a bad team, which the Colts were for a very long time. This was a team that goes 4-0-4-5, right? So I don't want that. But they're 12-12, 3-12 with an 11 asterisk. 3-12s and one of the guys has an 11 asterisk. So I think you may see some blitzing. I'm just guessing.
Yes.
You might see a little blitzing out of that team. So
yes.
This is the Niners, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so defensive line, you got Washington, which goes – I should just bring up the defense as a unit, which is a little better, but there is the slight league manager delay. I double-click and then wait. Here it is. Hopefully they can see it well.
Yeah, looks good.
Goes 4-6-5-4 on the defensive line. I don't mind having the 4s in the ends as much. You get end run right, you can hurt a guy. It was 4-4-5 at linebacker with Vernon Maxwell doing his Robert Mathis impersonation. 5-12-11. 4-5 at corner, 4-5 at safety. This defense got some problems. You can attack the flats all day against those 4s. You can throw down field against almost anybody you want, and you can run around end. So that's tough. So that's tough on that side of the ball. And as strong a card as Montana is with the flat pass, I think the lack of explosion to overcome possibly a weak defense, like Paul has got the explosion and all those wonderful carries, will hurt David. And because he's 0-4 already, but also because the defense is not that great, I am not going to pick that in the playoffs. And I think even if you're looking at it from day one, I would say the defense – I feel like these defenses that are too weak, especially the 4-3s, I feel like they have a really hard time anytime you're using the draft league defensive cards. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the 4-3 defenses are a little bit tougher to compensate for on the run defense, especially. You can't get as many plugs because you're leaving your flats open. So, yeah, I would agree with that. And I think I also did not pick them for the playoffs. So right now, just to give everybody a tally, our playoff matches are exactly the same. We both have Dan, Jim, and Paul, with you having Dale and me not having Dale.
Okay, and
so we're at the halfway point.
Okay. So this year I'm being more generous than you so far. Also, I think guys are more reluctant to throw flat against a 3-4 psychologically. So I think so not only can you cover more flats easily because of the 3-4. Like you said, you can plug the run more easily because I feel like you're more willing to leave a flat open in the 3-4 because guys are a little more scared of throwing flat against a 3-4. What do you think about that?
Yep, I would agree with that. Especially looking.
Yeah. The 3-4, you can get more linebackers on the line and then more linebackers in the flats at various times. Yep. The 4-3, you got to stand around a little more. So standing around usually isn't too good. So I'm going to say no to the Paxton factor this time. Did he make it last time? David Patrick made it last time. I think he was in that group that missed it by a game maybe last time. Yeah. Very competitive in that 8-7, 7-8 group in 2013 Battle Royale. Number 8 is my team, the Berlin Wall Breakers. I don't know what to make out of my team. This is really kind of a Frankenstein's monster. I feel like I think the defense will play pretty well. The offense is a little bit of a run and duck with this offensive line. But you got Max, a quarterback, Should I let you run through my team, or should I run through it?
Go ahead, you do it.
All right, we got Neil Lomax, a quarterback, pretty decent quarterback card for this set. It wouldn't be as good for a modern set, but decent for this set. Not horrible with turnovers. Pretty good flat compared to most, and pretty decent on the bomb. So you can do some things there. Wilbur Montgomery, halfback card, is an excellent card, limited carries. Jerry Ellis and Jesse Clark give you good fullback. And Jerry Ellis plays both and is an excellent receiver. And Jesse Clark's not bad. But those guys all fumble, especially Jerry Ellis. The New York Jet receivers is interesting. Wesley Walker and Lamb Jones are both maxed out deep, and certainly less than maxed out everywhere else, especially Lamb Jones, who was notorious for dropping footballs. You got the Paul Coffin at tight end's got one of the best cards in the set. So the skill players are real nice. In the offense, it looks explosive. If coach decides to open it up, but I think sometimes I can be a little conservative. I say that, but I know I've been throwing it all over the place like Manning. Offensive line is, awful. That is the New York Giants. The vaunted New York Giants 1983 offensive line, brought to you by Maybelline, which unfortunately has 3-0 run blockers. 3-0 run blockers with a center 4 and a right tackle 4. And the pass blocking is 5, a 5, a 4, and 3 3s. So much like in real life, Neil Lomax will be looking up from his back quite often in the league.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before. I understand that was the last offensive line picked, I believe. You did maximize the available pass blocking that was there. That is the linchpin of your offense, or the Achilles heel, I guess, because everything else is like top notch. Even you're bagging on your receivers a little bit, but their yards per catch is fantastic. Paul Kaufman is amazing, arguably the best tight end in the set. Montgomery is arguably the best halfback card in the set if you discount the number of carries he has, or at least the top 3 card. The only weakness I see on your team, now you were the first one to take defensive line. You were one of the top defensive lines in the set. Good against the run, is the average pass defense. So go through the back end of your defense and tell me how you see that playing out.
Okay, well, I actually like the defense on this team, and I think the defense will play well and probably play better than the offense at times, largely because even though it's an average, you have very good pass rush and corner 5s, although there are some very good tight ends running around. Defensive line goes 4-6-6. Linebacking crew goes 6-5-4-0. But I like how the left outside 6 and 5 can help cover that 4 at left end. And you want to run against a nose tackle 6. That's kind of tough at times. The corner 5s I like. So you don't have to double on the wideouts too much, which means you can double team that safety. Double team with the free safety to help with the tight end, or the right outside linebacker 0 against some of these incredible halfbacks. So you can use a free safety to double the halfback and an inside linebacker to double the strong safety and kind of cover some of the weaknesses in the secondary. And the pass rush, I think, is real good because you got 9-9-12 on the defensive line. You got an 11 inside linebacker. We all love those blitzing 3-4 inside linebackers where you can blitz a guy, still have a guy sitting there and looking pass, and then a 12 on the outside. So I think the pass rush, the run defense, the ability to be flexible with double teams are going to help this defense play pretty well. So I actually have confidence in the defense, even though I gave it 30 points. That was to Dan Fouts in the first game. I'm a little more worried about the offense, which I think will be a little more all or nothing. But actually looking at the team, and I did a good job with my special teams this year after kind of, missing the boat on returners last time. I've got Fulton Walker as the number 1 kick returner. I've got Gary Allen, who's a fumble on 4, but a touchdown on 3. So it's going to be exciting times on the punt return, one way or the other. So actually I like the team better now than I said before. And I have one of the better kickers, which is important for the field goals. So I don't think this team's going to do as well as the did in 2013. But I think 8-6 and a playoff berth is in order. I'm going to pick myself for the playoffs, yes.
Yeah, me too. I have you down as a playoff team. Despite the 0-1 record, I expect you to rebound and have a strong first month of the season.
I suspect I'm going to struggle out the gate. A lot of times I struggle in the beginning, and then I kind of figure out how to use the team better, and then I get hot. So we'll see what happens. Moving on to Lawrence, Kansas. Hello, anyone there? Lawrence broke my heart in the second round. Took Marino right ahead of me. He's got Dan Marino. You mentioned Joe Washington before. Now Joe Washington is terrible on right, so he's almost like a wrong only type of running back. But he's good, a great flat pass receiver, short. He's got William Andrews. Oh, see, that's a nice combo. Dan Marino and William Andrews is a nice combo.
Yep.
And then since your receivers are pretty good, Chris Collinsworth is like maxed out. Now Isaac Curtis isn't bad. Don't get a good tight end with that Atlanta group, but you can't have everything. Good offensive line with San Francisco. So a solid overall looking offense, which means the defense might be a little suspect. 3-4 defense, which is nice. And we're looking at the Rams, the Niners, and the Bengals. Again, some of these secondaries, which produced averages and had like 18 points, had 5s at the corners. And I felt like those were just kind of stronger looking secondaries than you would expect for a team that's going to be an average. You know, there was a lot of good tight ends this year, but I still want to cover those wideouts because they tend to be much better deep, you know. Defense 5-4-5. Linebackers go 4-4-4-5. Secondary goes 5-6 at the corner. 4-0 at safety. That's not too bad. You almost want to get that free safety out of there, make him double team somebody so he's not getting beat on the 0. I don't like that front 7 against the run. That's going to be a problem in a running era. And I feel like Marino is great, I think, for like sort of a ball control, like good defensive team. I don't think the defense of this team is strong enough. They don't have the pass rush of a lot of the other teams. I think the team will play pretty well. I think they'll be tough. I think the offense is kind of a nice all-around offense, but I think they're just going to miss out. Maybe like 7-7 or something like that, you know?
Yeah, in a league where there's so much pass rush available, this team wound up not having much at all. So that's going to hurt them. So I look at this as a 500 team, maybe 6-8, 7-7, and I am not picking Lawrence's team to make the playoffs. Yeah,
I think they'll just miss it. I don't think you need the pass rush, but in a lot of these games, against like 10 of these teams, you can blitz the hell out of these guys, you know, including me, you know. So you put yourself in a position where you can't do that. And while I don't think the pass rush is as important because there's no dump off, I think then you still need to be stronger defensively than this team looks. You know, if you have like good ratings and not a lot of pass rush, I think you still play real good defense in this set. But this team doesn't really have either, and the offense is just a little touch below. You know, I mean, Marino. I like Marino because of a little turnover, but it's not. It's not Marino of 84, 85, 86. He's not going to carry the offense. So the offense will play pretty well, but I think they'll miss it as well. Butch, who is been coaching strong in all these leagues, I think he started playing a lot more Strat in the last year or so again. He's got Bill Kenny, a quarterback who's pretty solid, very much in that second tier group. He's done some good things already for that team. I don't know what his record is, but Kenny's been doing well. He's got Tony Collins at halfback. He has got the San Diego fullback group, so the running game looks like it could be a problem. Minnesota offensive line, I don't recall that being too stellar. Denver receiver is not too bad. You got one good receiver in there, I believe, Watson. And he's got Kellen Winslow, so at least he got good receivers coming out of that. You got the Dallas 4-3 defense. He goes good in average. The Green Bay linebackers in a 4-3. That's interesting. The Seattle secondary, I don't remember them being too good. Miami kicking and punting. I don't think Uwe von Schamann is too hot either.
Seattle's secondary is 4-4-6-4.
Oh yeah, so it's like Kenny Easley. So it's Kenny and the Easleyettes.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I like this team. I think that if his stats from the first 2 games, Kenny has 8 touchdowns and no interceptions. So he's gotten a little lucky. He's 2-0, and his offensive line is probably a little bit weak.
Oh my goodness. Probably a little bit weak. Yes, he's got all 4s except for left tackle 0. He's got a 0 at center. He's got a 0 at center. And he's got a 5, 2 4s, and a 3.
But and I think Tony Collins is a bit of a fumbler. I might not be remembering that right.
I think he is. I think he's a bit of a fumble. James Brooks, the fullback, Tony had 219 carries with 10 fumbles. So yes, he is definitely fumbled. Pretty decent card otherwise.
Look at his defense. The defense is why I think this team will be a solid playoff bet on top of the 2-0 record.
All right.
He's got the best 4-3 defensive line. He's got linebackers with pass rush.
And
so those fours in the secondary won't get hit as hard because of that, just like your team.
6'5", 6'4". What happened to Harvey Martin? And you can bring in Larry Bethea 0-7 to pass rush or start him. 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", with the excellent pass rush on the outside. 4-4 corners, 6'4". Yeah, I think Butch can coach around this defense a little bit, but I still think he's going to get hit at times. Because that's the thing in this set, there's so much running.
Yeah.
That it's harder to when you have to compensate for the pass so much. I think it's harder to make that work. Maybe you see some nickel. Maybe you'll see.
Yeah, you land on his cards. You're hitting 5s and 6s, except for Martin.
Yeah, I know, but there are more blocking readings than defensive readings on the. You can run it on wrong with a decent back. Although that 6 will be plugging that a lot, I guess. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of nickel 3-3-5 out of this defense. But Randy White at the nose tackle and put Foreman in the short pass and help out with some of those secondary problems.
You can't do that this time. I mean, you can't do it.
You can only not doing a first down, right?
No, you can't do 4-3 unless you have 3 wide receivers in the game.
What, third down? Is that what we did?
Yeah, 3rd and 4th or 3 wide receivers.
Well, whose idea was that?
Yours.
I know, I'm teasing. I forgot exactly how restricted it was, but okay, yeah, that'll hurt a little bit. But so you like to see them make the playoffs, huh?
Yep. You just need 6 more wins.
What's his record now?
2-0.
Well, I'm going to ignore the 2-0 start. I'm going to pick the team that missed the playoffs. I'm going to blame it on Uwe von Schaman. I don't even know how bad he is. I'm just like saying that. It's tough. It's tough for the team that I think can do some things. And I see a good coach like Butch. I feel like the offense doesn't do enough, and the defense has some weaknesses. So there'll be a lot of close games, and maybe finish 7-7, just miss it. I'm gonna pass on Butch's team right now. Okay, but I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it because I know what kind of coach he is, and that defense looks strong, and he seems to be like a defensive type of guy. And we're gonna go to Jersey Joe. We have Jersey Joe on the line. Hello, Joe. Hello, Houston. Okay. Let's see. We got Dave Krieg at quarterback. All right, next team. No. We got Dave Krieg at quarterback. Now, I heard he has small hands. Is that true?
Yes. Small hand.
And a lot of fumble. But he's got a pretty cool card, though.
Yeah, he does. This is one of his best cards, this 83 card.
Yeah.
I
was always kind of a Dave Krieg fan. Obviously, I'm sure you were.
It's Craig. Dave Craig.
I forgot about that. Well, you see, I speak a little German, so I'm giving you the German pronunciation.
Ich bin ein Craig.
Ich bin ein Fehler is what you're doing there. But Herr Krieg has great flat fast card with the interception. There, see, like people are just like, well, you're killing Kenny Anderson for the flats and the pick on 10. But Kenny's a much higher pick than Dave Krieg. Dave Krieg went much later. So you're talking about a guy in the second round versus a guy in maybe the second half of the draft. So that you're saying, as a bottom half of the league quarterback, Dave Krieg can definitely do some things. I love all the short pass yardage. I like a little more completions on the short pass right. The must run is okay. I wish it was a little better. Long pass doesn't thrill me with those picks. Not a big fan of this Dave Krieg card. I love the James Wilder pick because I played a lot of Strat in like 83, 84, 85, and James Wilder was like the man as like, kind of unheralded, but, ran the ball a ton and caught the ball, and the team wasn't very good. He was kind of fun to use from that standpoint. He only had 1 fumble this year. Short yardage guy. It's a pretty nice short yardage card, so that'll help you there. He always receives a little bit. He's got Walter Payton, who's got a real nice card. I like Walter Payton's card. Kind of a classic, like 70s, 80s #1 running back card. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not the best guy in the set, not the record-breaking guy, but one of those top guys. Just a real solid card. Kind of a lot like Kurt Warner's card, but Kurt Warner's card is better. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You got Creek, Walter Payton, you got James Wilder, you got the St. Louis receivers. Not a bad group because Roy Green is awesome, and Pat Tilley's good on the short pass. So, and you got Walter Payton, so guys are going to get run. So that kind of works. Jimmy Giles, I think, is in the tight end group. He's probably not too bad. He used to be a good receiver. You got a Jimmy Giles here. 25 catches, 14 average. Not that great a card for Jimmy Giles. At least he can go deep though. So not classic Jimmy Giles. Is not what you're getting here.
Right.
The defensive side of the ball, he plays a 3-4. He's averaging good. And what do you know? He's starting Keith Willis at left end. So who's better again, Dennis? Maybe you could tell me. Is it John Goodman, the 4-4, or Keith Willis, the defensive end 0-12 with a 9 asterisk? Which one of those were you trying to tell me was better?
And I know, and everybody knows that Goodman's the one you're going to count for your rating, and then you're going to play Keith Willis all the time.
All right, which one is better, Dennis?
That's I would say Keith Willis is the more impactful Strat player.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. That was it because the language says you'll play the best, and Keith Willis is clearly better than John Goodman.
No, that doesn't say that. It doesn't say who's better. It just says the best possible numbers will be the ones you add up. So
we'll check that after we sign off because it's getting late for you. But I'm almost certain it says the best, the best guys. Anyway, Keith Willis 0-12-9, which is pretty awesome. Even though it's 0. 5-5, so it's a 0-5-5 defensive line. 6-5-4-6 linebackers. That's pretty nice. 6-0-6-5. Mike Harden was a decent player. No, he's always 0. I like the way this defense looks. What are you gonna do? You're gonna run it. You're gonna try and run a Keith Willis all day long. He's got Ted Hendricks and Matt Millen back there to come up. It's gonna be tough to flat pass against this group. You want to target that right corner. You can double team with Rob Martin or with the safety. The other guys are covered by 6s. I like the way the defense looks. What do you think? Dennis, are you there?
Yeah.
What do you think about
Joe? I thought you were going to tell me about their. Oh, this is the team I lost to. They're very tough to move the ball against. My key players were covered all by 6s, and except for the 1-0, which he was double teaming like crazy. I couldn't hit anything good running the ball against that 3-4. He was dropping guys into the run zones smartly. So tough defense. I scored 13. Lost, I think, 13-10 or 16-13 in an overtime. So good team.
All right. So you like? I look at the offensive line. Buffalo, I think, is not that bad. No, not that good either. The 2-5 run blocking is 4-4-0. There's got a 7 left tackle, a 5 at guard, 4-3-0. But he can run the ball. I'll tell you, it's a team that looks pretty well put together. But I think Joe is improving, and I think this team is just going to miss out. I think they another. I think obviously for what I'm predicting, there's going to be quite a few teams in that 6-8, 7-7, 8-6 hunt trying in the playoffs. I think Joe is just going to miss out. What do you think?
I agree. I have him as a 500 team. Despite me losing to him, his offense in 4 games is averaging in the teens. So 15, 16, 17 points. That's not going to get it done. Maybe that's just some bad luck. But he had 2 games where he came away with close wins, 15-7 and 13-10, and then he had 2 games where he got thumped, 39-14 and 30-something-17. So I don't know what's going on there, but that scares me a little bit. I don't think his offense is as good as it looks on paper.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I think if he coaches real well on defense, then I think this team has a chance to even go like 9 or something. Because if he coaches real well on defense, I think with Peyton and the play actions to Roy Green and, some flat passes and other guys, I think he can get some things going. But you're going to have to do that. Defense has to carry this team. I'm going to pick him just to barely miss out. But interesting team, well put together, and will be tough to play against, as you mentioned. Tony, okay. I think he has Andrew Luck in one of the leagues. Like the league, maybe SSFA, I forget. I don't know.
Yeah, go back real quick. Did you say Butch was in or out?
I chose Butch to be out. I think you chose Butch to be in.
Okay, got it. That's what I have to.
Okay, Tony's team. Tony Stark makes you feel. He's got Kenny Anderson at quarterback. He's got Wendell Tyler, who I thought was not a nice sort of like, late halfback to get type of guy. You're not great, but especially a good fullback. But he's got the Buffalo fullbacks. Booker Morris not too bad. But not a lot of carries, I don't think, in that combo. Dallas wide receivers, underwhelming. Saints offensive line, is that any good? I don't think that's too good. Where's playing? He's not in Antioch, is he?
Say that again?
Hub City? Where's Tony's team? Which team is he?
Tony is
Boulder? Boulder Flatirons?
Boulder Flatirons. That's his team.
You over the Boulder shoulder holders?
Yes.
Oh, no. There goes league manager. Down the stretch. There we go. Okay. This offensive line, 5 tackle, 5-5-4-3-2 pass blocking. He's got Wayne Wilson at fullback from that Saints group, or from the kick returns. That was a nice job. He's got a pretty good car, but fumbles a lot. Not in love with it. This offense looks pretty bad, actually. I don't think it's going to get too much going. I don't know. You need either like a real good quarterback or a real good running back. I don't think they have either because of Kenny's picks and flat pass oriented. The ball is going 3-4, good. That's a good start. 6-4 in the defensive line, and I had a hard time choosing. Well, not really, but you could see the case where Miami might be better than Tampa Bay on the defense. They have the 4 at right end, and in a non-blocking back type of era, you're not going to see as many runs over there, or it's going to hurt as much as it would in the modern game. So 6-6-4 in the defense, 5-5-5 at linebacker, 0-6 in the secondary. I kind of like this defense. A lot of guys have got this like right corner hole. They've got a coach around. Wish you had a little more pass rush. The linebackers aren't great. Maybe you do need to attack that right end run, throw some flats, and then throw short to your tight end, your corner, and your running backs, especially your halfback, if he's going to bring this guy up into the end run. So I think there's enough there for the opponent to target, and I don't like the offense. So I'm going to pass on Tony making the playoff. What do you think?
I agree. I think Ken Anderson's card is better than you're giving it credit for, but I think he's going to be like a six-win team. Maybe he could get it a bump up to 8 wins if he gets on a roll. But like you said, there's no premium group on offense that you can hang your hat on.
Yeah, and if you're gonna have that, then you need to have like Jim's defense or like even Joe's defense. It just looks real strong. And has. Tony's got the good, but his good doesn't look nearly as good as like Joe's average good.
Right.
So okay. See, Dennis Crowley. Are you familiar with this guy? I hear he makes a mean salad.
Yes, he is the salad extraordinaire. I think I don't think that he has much of a chance. He's never won anything, so get rid of that guy.
Yeah. By the way, I now have 5 teams in the playoffs, and I don't think I'm going to be adding Jason or Sean just from what I saw earlier. But so I ended up with like 6 out of 15. I may have to add somebody. So Butch make it in there. So Dennis's team, you got Joe Theismann at quarterback. I like that card a lot. Rick felt that some of the must-run guys don't do as well in Strat. I disagree with him. I've always had a lot of success with the guys who have those good must-run columns. Make sure you get good pass blocking, and you can throw a short pass all day as long as you're not throwing into 4 men every play. And you can throw deep because it's not as much of a nothing play for your offense because you still might get your 4, 5, 6, or 8 yards on the must-run. What do you think about must-run quarterbacks in Strat football? Now, of course, this is a non-dump-off set. I think they're awesome in the modern rules with the dump-off. But what do you think about must-run quarterbacks compared to more pocket passers?
I mean, when you look at the ones that have come in the 2000s, like the Michael Vick cards, even some of the Alex Smith's type cards, they always seem to be a little light in hits, guessed right. And then when you guess run against them, all those must runs disappear. And they're replaced by completions, but not quite as many as you had must runs. So I understand where he's coming from, but I've had good success with Russell Wilson, and I think he's an example of a better style of must run carding that Strat is coming together with now.
I don't know. Good.
I think like guys like Vic earlier had so many blinks guessed right. When you're getting guys like Wilson, even Luck a little bit. He's not really a must-run quarterback, but Foles maybe. Look at Nick Foles' card. You can have a lot of success with those guys.
Yeah, well, I'm talking more about the Russell Wilson than the Nick Foles. The guy who's
you're not. Nick Foles and Russell Wilson's card from the 2013 set are almost exactly the same.
No, Nick Foles is not nearly as good a must run.
He's not.
He has many must run.
But
yeah,
no, but
I'm not talking about just having must runs. You got to be good at it.
No, but he's not bad. He's better than you think.
No, he's not. I know. I'm pretty familiar with his column. He's exactly as I think. He's okay. I'm talking about the guy. I'm talking about the guys who are good. Yeah. If you get a bunch of must runs in your card and you're only okay at it, that sucks. No one wants that. But if you get a bunch of must runs in your card and you're like Steve Young or Dante Culpepper, or Russell Wilson now, that's pretty good. Or like the good Colin Kaepernick card, But I mean, like Michael Vick on Atlanta, he was completing such a low percentage of passes that can be tough to win with. But like that Michael Vick Philly card was an awesome card. I won the Super Bowl with that card. I mean so if you have a guy with must runs who still completes passes and is really good at must run, those cards are great. And I don't care if you're talking about Roger Staubach, Steve Young, Dante Culpepper, Donovan McNabb had some good cards like that. So I'm not sure there's anyone right now. There's no one right now who has the combination like let's say Steve Young did, or even like the one or two really good Dante Culpepper cards. But I like the must run. I like a quarterback who's got a lot of must runs if he's good at it. If he's Nick Foles, then no, I don't want that. I don't want that for.
Nick Foles, though, he picks up 5 yards or more from 2 to 7. So that you get those 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5s, you can extend drives with his card. He's not going to.
Well, but I don't know. I'll have to look at Nick Foles' card better. But he has a great passing card anyway. I think so. But
but very similar to the number of must runs that Russell Wilson has, and they're almost the same breakage for when you need that 3rd and 5. Yeah, Wilson's got more yards, but I think it's exactly the same. 2 to 7, so you get 5+. Pull it up.
Well, I don't want to pull it up now because I have to close other things over near the end, and I know that the Crowley kids need to go to school in the morning. So, I know, but I'm saying you've got to get up and do things. But you want to pull it? All right, I'll pull it up. Fine, I'll pull it up. Now you're going to wait, and then you're going to complain in 10 minutes that we're taking too long when you are making me close this and open this, and my game is going slow. Brought to you by Maybelline.
Maybelline should pay us for this.
What am I looking? 2013.
2013, yep.
I should have brought up Bobby Lane instead. But it is the worst when you have got a lot of must run and you're terrible at it. Or even like the one must run in 7. You get that a lot in this era. Like 83, 84, there's a lot of guys like just like a must run like on 7 or on 4, and they're terrible at it. Like 7 was like no yards. That's like kind of hilarious. But okay, let me see Nick Foles, who has a great card in this set. And boy, I tell you, if Nick Foles is pretty good in the NFL, I mean the Rams. I mean Jeff Fisher, excuse. I'm beginning to think he's the most overrated coach in the NFL possibly. So yeah, I know Foles has got all the units, the 12 must-run units. 2 to 7 is 5 yards, 8 is 4 yards. But 2 and 3, the only things above 8 yards. That to me, that's not. Back in the day, like Steve Young, it used to be like the big-time must-run quarterbacks, 2 to 6 was 10 yards or more. And they changed it like with the Michael Vick Good Philly card, where they 2 to 4 like runs, and then but like 6 was only like +7. I was like, what do they do? Because when you had those guys like Steve Young with a 2 to 6 or more, that was awesome. Fall 2 and 3, 9 yards, you know, and only 2 to 4 is above 7 yards. So to me, that's not that great compared to Russell Wilson. Now Russell Wilson is going to have a great must-run card next year. What do you see that card with the rushing edge? Is a little more Michael Vick like for that, but he's got 2 to 4. Is that a 17-yard gain on 4?
Yep.
2 to 4 is 17 yards or more. 2 to 6 is 7 yards or more. So I know the 5 yards helps. I know false helps, but Wilson is a little more what I look for. But even this column, not quite as good as I would like for a guy who's a running quarterback, a quarterback who runs a lot. But a 5.6 average is not really that great for a running quarterback. You want to get that average like 6 or over, I think, to get the good must-run columns. But I think with Strat, taking out the kneel downs this year, and Wilson had a big average this year. Didn't he average like 7 yards a carry this year?
Yeah, crazy.
Look it up. Well, I go back, look up, and tell me Russell Wilson's rushing average this year because they ran for like 800 yards or something.
Okay, hold on.
Why going to bring us back to summer sprint? There's going to be a problem with Andrew Luck's card this year because Andrew Luck had almost as many catch attempts in the NFL this year as he did last year. But last year he had a pretty good average, and he's got 8 must-run units and with a nice solid must-run card. But this year he might have like 7 must-run units, but not that great of a must-run card, which will hurt his card. And I think he may not perform as well as people expect in some of these draft leagues.
So
what was
Wilson
Russell's rushing average?
7.2 yards per carry. Now that's with the kneel downs. So that'll go up a little bit with the kneel downs taken out.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a very exciting must-run column from Russell Wilson this year. You want to load up on your 7s and annoy the hell out of people. So yeah, that'll be good for you because since you have him, I think, in 14 leagues. I'm not certain. But, okay, so we're talking about the Fighting Crowleys. You got Joe Theismann at quarterback. I like Joe Theismann's card a lot. We're talking about what a good must-run column.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
This is. I saw Joe Theismann play, and I running quarterback. I used this card, but I had forgotten how good this must-run column was. I mean, look, he only had 6.3. See, okay. 2 to 6, 10 yards more. That's what you used to get. That's what you used to get. 2 to 6, 10 yards. 2 to 6 and 7 plus 9. That's awesome. You have good pass blocking. I mean, those 4 and 5s. Those are like, come on. Those are averaging like at least 6 yards on those.
Yep.
So even though you're not getting as many hits, now his problem is the short pass wrong is not as good as you'd like for a guy that had pretty good stats. I still had him up there though. I still had him up there as like my number 3 or 4 quarterback. I think he'll do well. I like that I like that he can throw kind of. I wish his short pass was wrong was a little better. I just wish he had a couple more hits short pass wrong. 5-11 short pass. The flat pass is good enough. He can throw long a little bit. This is he's not Dan Fouts. He's not going to air it out all day with Joe Theismann, but it's a nice solid card. It's low turnover. It's got the great must run, and this M run wrong card is nice.
Yes.
421 short gain, 1920 short gain. So yeah, so judicious. I always go for the old blocking back, 1 fullback shotgun with the fullback that can't run at all, and then I run my end run. So now everyone knows that, but I played all these guys so many times; they know what I do. So
right.
You're gonna just mix it up anyway. So, but I like Joe Theismann. Let's see, you got Earl, the Frank Hawkins, Todd Christensen pick. I love Todd Christensen. I thought you made that pick too early. I really did. Even though Frank Hawkins is good, he fumbles. But it worked out. Overall it's gonna work out. You got Earl Campbell's got a pretty decent card. Like I said, Earl Campbell, O.J. Anderson, those guys, a lot of carries, pretty decent card. Not going to see as many run calls. They'll be effective. They have a pretty good offensive line. Not in love with the receivers. I see at Stanley Morgan at least. And again, if you're gonna have like only one good receiver, at least have the real good tight end, and you have that. So that doesn't work out as badly.
And Kenny King and Frank Hawkins can both go deep, so that's kind of cool.
All right, then you have the cheating defense with Detroit. I'm sorry, just kidding. Not the cheating defense. I didn't know the rule well enough. I didn't read the Constitution closely enough. Anyway, you got the 4-3 good, and
I actually played my 4 in there. I don't bench him, so he's in there all the time.
What are you doing that for? You should bench him. You already got the good. What do you need him for?
For what? To go for a 4-3 to a 0-7? What difference does that make? 0-8?
At right end, and then you get the defensive tackle. But anyway, I'm just saying it to kind of tease you for taking the unit. But so you got 4-4-6-5 in the defensive line, 6-5-5 at linebacker, 4-4 corner, 5-6 secondary. I don't like that the run defense can be hit there by the 4s. I'm sure that these linebackers are going to see a lot of time in line of scrimmage, probably a lot of blitzing and pass calls to take advantage of these 3 12s, including the monster 12-11 from Ricky Jackson. So guys are going to want to draws against you, but you're going to get running instead. So then they got to throw against short passes against your corner 4s. There we go. So, but I really love this linebacking core. They're going to help you so much. Guys don't want to throw flat against that, which means you can blitz them more, means you can plug your run holes, slide guys out, drop down into double coverage occasionally if you want to. Worried about those corner 4s. I can see what you're going to do. You're going to double, you're going to blitz, you're going to guess pass, make guys run to beat you. So I think your defense can be vulnerable at times, even though it's good. The turnovers will help. The pass rush will help with an excellent coach. So, of course, I'm definitely going to pick this team for the playoffs. I think you're probably in at least 9 games, maybe 10-4.
It's not the dominant team. It's not the dominant team that my Battle Royale team.
Year.
Yeah, but it'll play. It'll play all right.
Yeah, well, the 2013 team that you just won the Super Bowl with, getting Andrew Luck in the late 3rd round there when you already had Buffalo and then a good secondary, that team was real tough. And then you got all the skill players. Derby guy said you stole Gronk. Then he slipped to you. The Antonio Brown special teams thing. So, yeah, that team was really, really tough. So I think your defense is vulnerable. So maybe you won't win the title. Maybe Dan Morin will win the title. But I know you'll be there near the end in one fashion or another. So I'm definitely going to pick a team to make the playoffs and certainly, be in the top 3 or 4 probably. Let's look at the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, no, I mean James' team. Forgive me. Which is called the Kansas City Chiefs because he's a Lamar Hunt fan. No, it's not true. The Loganville Red Devils. I love that name. That's a good name. Loganville Red Devils, brought to you by Maybelline. They've got Danny White at quarterback, Danny White at halfback. No, Danny White at quarterback, Danny White at punter, Danny White at halfback, Tony Dorsett halfback, Pete Johnson of the short yardage fullback. The Dan Ross tight end card is a good one. I was surprised a little bit he took the Philly receiver group. You got Mike Quicker than like nothing else, but Mike Quick is pretty awesome. Dallas offensive line. I don't know how they are. Trying to wrap up here.
What do you think? Playoffs or no playoffs for this team?
I got to bring up the offensive line and the defense real quick. Playoffs. Playoffs? It's got the 7 center. It's like the last place you want this 7 to be. Then he's got like 5-3, 4-4. Not a great offensive line. Plays a 4-3 defense. What is he defensively? Good and average, I think?
Yes.
5-5-4-5 with some good pass rush.
Sorry, he's average.
4-3-5-5-4-5, 0-6-5. You can play a 4th sometimes you want that left linebacker spot. 6-4 corners, 0-4 safety. This team is not making the playoffs. The defense is got too many holes. Doesn't have a good enough rating. Not a fan of the Danny White card. Not an awful team. Just looks like a team that's like a little below average compared to the rest of the field. So I think they're going to struggle and not make it. Now, he said he's 4-2 already, though, right?
4-2. I'm putting him in.
So I know. All right, you put him in. Okay. You know these guys want to beat me like 40-0 whenever I quickly dismiss. Yeah, he's not in. It's over. I quickly dismissed the team. So we'll see. He played pretty well last in 2013 Battle Royale. He hung around and had a chance to make it.
He coached the Eagles in my stock league, and he has them in the Super Bowl. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. So he is improving
That's
as a coach.
because they have that great Nick Foles must run column.
He beat Kurt twice.
Oh, nice.
Once facing Kurt as when Kurt was coaching the Cardinals, and once facing Kurt as Kurt was coaching the Panthers. So he had to play.
What about the Redskins?
The Redskins? Did he
That's
play
Kurt's
them?
team. Did Kurt the Redskins?
No, this is not NSFL. This is my SFRL. So Kurt coached the
Third
Vikings.
line, right?
Yeah, he coached the Cardinals to the number 1 seed at 14-2, and the Panthers at the number 2 seed at like 13-3. So he did a great job, and then he got knocked out by this guy who barely finished at 9-7 and only won the tiebreaker or only won the division on a tiebreaker because every single team in the NFC East finished 9-7. So I think Jason's improving recently.
Okay, and he's 4-2 now, so there you go. But I'm still going to go with no playoffs, no soup for you. We'll see if I'm wrong or not. I probably will be because he's already 4-2, and he said he's improving. So the Hub City Crickets. Now, I remember he sent out an email. This is Sean Riley's team. Was this an homage to Buddy Holly?
Yes, it was.
All my life, I've been waiting. Tonight there'll be no hesitating. No boy. Okay.
Oh, boy.
I didn't realize I had backup singers. I would have kept going. I'm sorry.
No, I was the backup singer. Keep going.
I know. I heard that. I didn't realize. I blew it. The Hub City Crickets. What's his record so far?
0-1. He lost 11-13. I'm not kidding. He lost 11-13 to the Loganville to the Loganville Red Devils.
Red Devils. Yeah. That sounds like a hot sauce.
Yeah.
But
on a
all right, so
Raphael Seption with 8 seconds left in the game.
So this is my third battle royale, and I think Sean has had the same team every time. He drafted defense high, or just Herschel Walker in the USFL, but his quarterbacks have always been awful. And so I think he's like trying. I think like so him and his dad, I guess, like defense, but his dad got the defense this time, and Sean. Boy, this offense is just awful. Jack Thompson. Say no more.
Throwing Samoan.
Yeah. He'll be throwing the games. That's the only way you can make anything positive happen out of this. I did not have Jack Thompson as a starting worthy quarter. That's the must rush column I was talking about. The dreaded 7 no yards, 6 plus 1, 7 no yards, 8 no yards. And it's on a 7. So you hate to see that when it's like, 8 seconds, 45 seconds left to the game. You have the other guy's 40 yards, 2nd and 10. You have 1 timeout left. Must run, no yards. And the guy doesn't get out of bounds. You're like, oh, throw the ball away, Jack. Now, he's got a great flat pass card. He's got the high pick. He did the same thing in the USFL. See, there's no problem taking a quarterback late. You can end up with a quarterback late. But he did the same thing. He went for like a guy with the highest possible interception guy left. When he took that guy, I think his name was Jimmy Jordan, maybe, in the Tampa Bay Bandits. So I think Sean, I think Sean should do? I think he should stay away from Tampa Bay if he's looking for quarterbacks in these leagues. Because the throwing Samoan ain't getting it going.
Nice.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm saying no playoffs for Sean as well. I had Jason in the playoffs. You said no. So let's wrap it up here.
Okay, all right. I would have liked to see Ron Jaworski or even Terry Bradshaw, maybe. Ron Jaworski, certainly. I would have preferred to take over the throwing Samoan. He does have a good flat pass card. Doesn't do a lot else. He's got Freeman McNeil's got Mosey Tatupu's got a great card but limited units. Freeman McNeil's got kind of a sneaky card, not bad. No short gains, just positive yardage.
Keep in mind with Sean, he even picked the last quarterback unit. Jim and Paul did. So he could have had Paul's quarterback or Jim's quarterback.
And who are those guys? Lynn Dickey. Lynn Dickey I would like better. And who's
and the Koffler.
The Buffalo hybrid.
Yes.
Yeah, those guys are about as good as the Buffalo quarterbacks this year in the NFL. Each Emmanuel and Matt Cassell. Defense, he's got 5-5-4. He plays a 3-4, right?
Yep.
He's good. Goes 5-5-4, 5-4-6-6. I like that. I tell you, this is a pretty good defense.
Very good.
A tremendous pass rush. Good ratings. That doesn't need a lot of coaching, actually. He doesn't have a lot of holes. So defense will play well, but I just think that lack of running back quarterback combo will not be able to overcome it. The team will struggle. I'm going to say no playoffs for Sean. Yes. And so that wrapping it up, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6 teams out of 15 in the playoffs. I am going to add Butch to the playoffs. Get a 7 out of 15. Rick was my other option. Okay. How many teams you got in the playoffs?
I have exactly the same number, 7. Now that you've added Butch, I think I'm gonna. Yeah, that's good. 7 and 7.
I've got Dale in my play. I got Dale, Dan, Jim, Paul, me, Butch, and you. And who do you have?
I have no Dale and add Jason.
Well, just tell me who you have.
Dan, Jim, Paul, Tom, Butch, me, and Jason.
And I'm going to pick the Super Bowl. I like Dan's team the best. I'm going to pick, since you're hot, I'm going to pick you to win the Super Bowl yet again. I'm going to pick Dennis over Dan in the Super Bowl. What's your Super Bowl prediction?
Now, you know I'm not afraid to pick myself if I like my team and I feel I have a good chance. But I don't think I'm going to be in the Super Bowl this year. I think I'll be a playoff team, but losing one of the earlier rounds. My Super Bowl is Paul against Tom. There you go. So I'm thinking he's going to be in the Super Bowl.
Who's going to win?
Paul will come up with another offensive explosion when you least expect it.
It thumped me in the playoffs last year, so I'm sure you enjoy that again. But I don't know. The listeners are going, Tom picks Dennis, Dennis picks Tom. It's a mutual admiration society. But
well,
hey,
neither of us picked the other one to win it. So, right?
No, I picked you to win. I said you're going to win again. I picked you to beat Dan.
Oh, come on. I can't win 4 in a row or 3 in a row or 2 in a row.
You don't have to. You just have to win 1 in a row. The other ones are in the past.
Okay.
That's what I look at.
It's not going to happen, Gavin.
Okay.
My team.
All right, guys. We're going to wrap up now. Maybe I'll speak a little longer. But Dennis needs to fall asleep. All right, Dennis. I'll see you later. Wave goodbye to everyone. Okay. All right. Adios, Dennis. All right. So there you have it, guys. We have just concluded our. What league am I talking about? Our 1983 summer sprint draft review / season preview. The games are underway, fast and furious to some extent. I got to get going. I've only played 1 game because I was away out of town in Tennessee for a family wedding. We've each picked 7 teams to make the playoffs. There are, I believe, 6 teams that we have both picked. So the consensus from Dennis and me is that Dan Warren, Jim Riley, Paul Mankiewicz, Dennis, me, and Butch will make the playoffs. That's a consensus. I added Dale. I have Dale. I'm not added him, but I have Dale in there also. Where Dennis, I believe, has Jason in there also. So for the rest of you guys, make us eat crow. I think Jersey Joe Golden's got a good-looking team with that defense. Rick's got a pretty nice kind of balanced team and is an excellent coach. So you two guys, I think, can definitely jump up and get in there. Of the teams that neither of us picked, I think Lawrence and David Pachter are lurking as well. Although I heard that David going 4, that's going to be tough to bounce back from, but it can happen. If he's had a lot of bad luck, then he'll start having a lot of good luck. But this is a. I played 1 game so far, and just looking at the set, this is a great year for this type of thing. 80s is good. I think like maybe once they liberalize the pass rules. And I love and I played a lot with the old game, 50s, 60s, and 70s. So I played a lot with those seasons. But maybe like that 1978 to like 1986 era. That happens to be when I was growing up, so I feel fondly about that era. That's still, that's got like good running games and good defense and some good passing performances. So you have a nice kind of, it's not skewed too much in any one way, and maybe that's a good field to choose some of our future summer sprints from. I'd be interested in almost anything. I wouldn't mind doing a real old one. 1960. That's out now. I think you need one. after the AFL is founded, because we have a lot of guys who like to play now, so you can't really do one with, the NFL only 1959. You only have, like, whatever, 10, 12 teams. So that wouldn't work. I'd say if we did one of those early seasons, like, I don't know, 1962 or something, you'd be drafting, we might have like 15 guys. We'd have like 14 to 16 guys out of maybe 20, 22 NFL teams, or pro teams, I should say. Other than guys get upset about the AFL guys being overcarded and stuff like that. So who knows? But this should be a real fun season. I look forward to it. What else is going on in Stratomatic nowadays? We are about 15 days away. I keep screwing up the math on this. We're about 15 days away from the release of the rings, which is always a fun time for all. That should be great. And we're going to have a big show around that, I'm sure. That's around July 4th weekend. Some of the spring leagues are either in their postseason or getting ready for their postseason. SSFA, which I'm in, and a few guys here in, and Dennis is in. Dennis in every league. Dennis is in. Paul's in. Lawrence might be in that league. I think Butch is, of course, in that league. Tony's in that league, I believe. So, well represented. Basically, all the guys here are, you're either in the Somifa family or the Orm Win family or both, which is good. Good to play guys that don't otherwise get to play or know. Didn't know Rick at all until he played last year. Played the Rileys for the first time in Summer Sprint last year. So a lot of good times. And yeah, that's about it. I'm just rambling aimlessly because that's what I like to do. That's why I do these things, so I can ramble aimlessly. Is that right? I'm tired. It's 3:20 Eastern time, but that's all right. And of course, the big news this year is going to be the flat passes as runs rule and how that plays out. Autumn Wind, I believe, is leaning towards playing it. So I'm looking forward to it. If we play it in Autumn Wind, my goal is to have at least one game in which I throw at least like 73 passes. Against a team that plays like a 4-3 and doesn't have a very good linebackers. And yes, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw just all flat passes, short passes, long passes with Andrew Luck. I know a bunch of running game anyway, and we'll see what happens. I don't know my team's gonna be that good, but yeah, I want to break the rule. I'm gonna throw at least 800 passes, preferably like 900, and make them upgrade the rule. Of course, if my team goes 4-12, that's not really gonna prove anything. But that team is not ready to win anything, so I can mess around a little bit. NFL, I'm a big NFL fan. It's slowly creeping up. Tonight was game 6 of the NBA Finals. No spoiler, I'm sure, to say that the Golden State Warriors defeated the Cleveland LeBrons because everyone else was injured or terrible. 4-2. Stephen Curry is a great player. I don't follow basketball like I used to. I watched a little bit of that game tonight. Didn't watch most because I was napping, so I could do this. But NFL is where it's at. 2.5 months away. A lot of interesting stuff going on. Will Tom Brady be suspended for 4 games? Will the Buffalo defense be like the 2000 Ravens, be like an awesome defense? How many games can they win with that terrible quarterback situation? The Minnesota Vikings, I think, are a team to watch with interest this year and in the near future. If Adrian Peterson is healthy, stays healthy, he only had the one bad injury, but he's getting older. Mike Zimmer can coach defense. The defense will keep improving. Teddy Bridgewater has had a solid rookie year. He should do even better. They brought Mike Wallace, they had Adrian Peterson back. So no, I'm not one of those people who says, I'm going to take this team from nowhere to make the Super Bowl. No, but they could definitely be like a solid 9-7, or maybe tough division, maybe even 10-6. But I think the Vikings will be in the hunt for the wild card this year, and will be an interesting team to watch and figure out and determine how good they are going to be going forward. We'll see. I love the NFL. I follow it pretty closely now because of Strat. So maybe I'll try and do some type of NFL show at some point. So, all right, guys, this is Tom signing off. We had a very nice long show tonight. I like the long shows. I go back to the 4 and 5 hour Mike and the Mad Talk New York City radio sports talk shows 5 days a week. So I'm happy to have a long show, but Dennis has got family commitments, of course. So I'll see you on the gridiron. My team is a little shaky this year, so you may enjoy kicking me around for a while. As Paul kicked me around in the playoffs in 2013, and as I lost 30-23 my season opener, so I got to turn things around. See, that's the thing. If I'm going to do these shows, I'm going to act like I'm some kind of knowledgeable Strat football player. I got to go out there and play well in the field. I can't be going, 3-12 or 4-11, whatever we're playing. 14 games, 5-9, at least 6-8. If I'm going to be bad, at least 6-8. All right, guys. Have a great night. See you later. Hope you enjoy the show. Bye-bye.